Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Punching Up, your weekly Nintendo, not weekly, bi-weekly Nintendo podcast. I don't want to say that. People they're up in arms. They already say, we need this show weekly. I'm like, no, you don't. Just bi-weekly is fine for us. You don't want us that often. Anyway, I'm Dustin. Here with me, I've got the fantastic full crew lineup. And let's go first and foremost to Micah. You know, there's a big controversy. I want to know how you feel about this. There's one commenter in particular. People don't like it when I single people out, but I'm doing it anyway. Says, you got to go ladies first. I'm like, sometimes, but in this case, we're all equal here. So anyway, Micah, how do you feel about being ladies first? You are first today. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. I'm going to say I'm not the least ladylike person you'll ever meet. I'm not a total, man, but I spent my weekend out at the smoker making some short ribs. So you don't have to hit me with the ladies first thing. Like, that's not my style. We were out to brunch. He saw some guy holding an umbrella for his wife, and he was opening the car door for her with the umbrella in the gap so she wouldn't get wet. And I'm like, just get in the car, woman. Like, Jesus, you know how much longer this took for him to dance around the car with an umbrella so you don't get a drop of rain on you? Just get in. I can't abide by that stuff. That's not my style at all. Like, I can't do that. You're right. Like, this is equality is what it's about for me.
I'm going to pull an X Games mode move here with a transitioning introduction that goes from Micah to another person. It says, from Hayden Glass says, yo, Brick Fisters. Not a question, but a shout out. Let's take a second to give Micah her flowers for being the realest Brick Fister out here. After Gene missed last week, 2 weeks ago, Micah is now the only host with perfect attendance. The rest of you need to get on her level. This is a Nintendo podcast, for God's sakes. Start treating it like one. All jokes aside, thanks for all the content, and I'm happy to have you back, Gene. So, Micah, gold star for you for the perfect attendance.
Woohoo.
And welcoming back, Gene Park. How are you, dude? Woo. It's been a minute, not just for this show, but for Last Stand content in general. Not only were we hurting as the host, but I saw comments on Patreon, on YouTube, in our Discord. They're like, we need Gene back. And so this is very much a welcome homecoming. How are you doing, dude?
Yeah, man, I saw all those comments. Thanks so much. I understand all the concern. I wish I could have more to report for you guys, but I don't know anything yet. But we will know by the end of the month. And if you all can speculate what that means, and you're probably right. But we'll see. But hopes are good. We're thinking that it's good, and it's good to be back. My concern is sitting here and having to do a show with an out and out neo-Nazi like you,
yeah,
Micah. That's the only thing. But but
we're all neo-Nazis because of just being on the platform. So
yeah, I mean, look at the company's name. Come on,
last man standing.
What does that mean, anyways? Right? Doesn't it? So
yeah. But yeah, Gene, I'm glad to have you back. The audience is glad to have you back. We love you, and I'm glad the four of us are all going to be together in person. Let's see. Wait, do we have another episode before then? Are we together? No.
So the last one before the wedding.
Last one before the wedding. Can't wait. But I got one other person to introduce here. Last but certainly not least, Dagan Moriarty. Lining up the crew. How do you feel about being called out a little bit, missing an episode or two, but I'm in the same boat.
You know what? It just reminds me of my school days. The start of literally every school year, as far back as I can remember, you have those heady dreams going into a new year of like, I'm going to get that perfect attendance award. And then always 2 or 3 weeks in, my dreams are dashed upon the rocks. I already missed a day. I never even got close to perfect attendance award. No. So it hurts. It hurts a little bit. Stings, dating years back. And but you know what? I'm never going to have that because I already missed at least 1 or 2 just due to family vacations over the summertime, right?
Yeah, you know, very normal, healthy thing to leave for vacation. We can't not. Here's the. You mentioned perfect attendance awards.
Yeah.
Do those still exist post COVID? Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like it's kind of
Yes.
wrong.
Oh yeah.
No, it's
Still-
horrible.
Like any normal human is not going to be perfectly healthy every weekday for what? For when I went to school, is 180 days. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's
Somewhat. You are encouraging kids to go to school sick.
No, well, that's the
unbelievable.
thing. I have a friend. You guys may know him actually, Pat Contry. He's an online
Oh, yeah,
retro
yeah, yeah.
game YouTuber, right? He always tells a story that his parents were so adamant about him going to school for whatever reason that they would just send him to school no matter what was going on with him, injured, sick. So he got the perfect attendance award every year, but it was
Dang.
always a bad memory for him because he should not, he went to school when he was just in rough shape.
Yeah, he was patient zero probably for many different flu epidemics at the school.
So my parents didn't do that. My parents did. I could fool them with the usual tricks, like put the thermometer in the sunlight, that type of thing. And I have a feeling like they knew, but they just went along with it anyway, rather than just argue. There was no way they were that stupid. Right.
Right.
And I did that a lot. And I think that's like a second grade memory and like a high school junior memory. Like I always did the same tricks all the time. I think I did the fake throw up in the toilet, put the mayo and like the pickle, like the relish and just.
Oh, God.
And like they would just be like, all right, like obviously you're not feeling that great. And I'd be like, really? Are you that? You're that dense? But all right, like that's cool. I'll stay home today.
Yeah. I always kept my powder dry. I didn't my parents were good about letting me stay home because I didn't ask unless I absolutely needed to.
Okay.
The one time I went to school late because Modern Warfare 2 came out the night before, and I was at the midnight launch at the mall, the Clearview Mall here in Butler, and stayed up to like 3. So I went to school late. That was me being a bad boy back then. So, but I'm so glad to have everybody here for a show. Great way to start the week for us here at Last Stand, guys. I gotta say, okay, I gotta ask you guys. I brought this new fit specifically for the show. I don't know if you guys can see. It's Parappa the Rapper. I got this in Japan.
Love it.
I'm not sure. I really like it, but at the same time, this is like Japanese streetwear fit where it's kind of like baggy, but dude, guys, okay, sorry, audio listeners, check the back.
What's on the back? There.
Oh, that's cool.
All right.
Dude. Yeah. It
What's
doesn't look that baggy on you. It looks all right.
It's a little baggy.
A little baggy.
Holly was like, it feels like how it's supposed to look, but I'm like, is it flattering? I don't know.
No,
Funny
this is
story
good.
though, when I bought it, the guy that I bought it from was like a younger Japanese guy at this department store. Kind of like, it's weird. The department stores in Japan have like smaller stores within them. And so this one had all this Parappa stuff. And he didn't really speak English, but I was like, I pointed to shirt. I was like, I want to get this one, this one. He's like, oh, and he was like, that's a video game character in Japan. It's like, yeah,
like buddy.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, Parappa the Rapper. He's a video. I know
heard
him.
Dustin Freeman before.
I think I said to him, I know him. I know this man, this Parappa man. So,
man, I miss that about the Asian department stores because you go into one place. Like, imagine going into Macy's and then there's a fucking GameStop inside the Macy's. That's basically what it is, right, Dustin?
Yeah, well,
Right?
So cool.
Specifically thinking about the department store in Tokyo that the Nintendo store is in. It's like you go up, it's like the 7th or 8th floor, and there's a giant, the Nintendo
It's
store
so
takes
huge,
up,
7 or 8 floors. That's so crazy.
Yeah. It's really vertical though, because the Nintendo store takes up the entire center, and then around the outside there's a Capcom store, there is a Shonen Jump store, there's like a Koei Tecmo store. So, but then you go like 2 floors down, and there's like high fashion shit. So it's just dude, and there was the From Software like merch line pop-up store that was super cool.
Oh man.
And for this show too, we went to a different department store in a different part of Tokyo where we went to the Evangelion pop-up, which was it wasn't a pop-up, but it was their store. And I looked down, I was like, what's down there? Go down, and it's a Mother 3 or Mother series pop-up store. Totally dedicated to the Mother series.
So cool, man.
Legitimate, amazing merch. Dude, Dagan, they had skate decks, like official Mother skate decks and stuff. It was so cool.
You know what I love about this, Dust? Parappa, Mother, right? things that are important never become irrelevant, right? Like
Mhm.
those things, it's been a
Yeah.
while for both of those things, but it's still cool, and Japan is honoring that. You would never get that
Yeah.
here. It's not new. It's
You
not
don't.
cutting
We
edge,
just
right?
we just always move on to whatever is the next big thing
Exactly.
or whatever like that, you know. And it's like over there in Japan, it's like no, we remember that
I
shit.
love it.
You know,
Mhm.
Exactly. Well said.
Yeah.
and we will memorialize it. You know,
Yeah.
and we will deem it high art. We will put it next to the high fashion. You know, there's a real juxtaposition of geek culture and like mainstream luxury culture
Love it.
in Asia. You know, there's a reason why Louis Vuitton and Final Fantasy were partnering up together in marketing. You know,
So
it's
cool.
wonderful.
Yeah, well, dude, Gene, I've talked about it on a few shows now because I'm so excited. I have got the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure jacket that I've wanted for so long. It's like a high fashion brand. That jacket cost me $200. It's one of the stupidest things I ever bought. But I was like, damn it, I'm in Japan. It's going to cost me over $500 if I bought it in the US.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm buying it while I'm here, and it's cool. So
When's the next time you're going to be in Japan and to be able to get that? No, get it now.
I don't know, man. It's crazy. Okay, we're off the rails at the beginning of this episode. We said we were trying to not do that, just get right into it, but fuck it. Listen, I had a weeb moment to end all weeb moments where we were coming out of we went to a temple and walked around. We were leaving, go to the train station, and there was a street performer, and I was like, my senses tingled, and we walked over, and he's playing the Evangelion theme, Cruel Angel's Thesis, with a guitar, and he has it's almost like a harmonica holder, but it's for a flute. And so he's playing it and doing all the different things. I was like, hell yeah, this is my guy. So it was like the ultimate, a weeb tear shed came from my eye at that moment.
I hear you.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah, reminder, the Evangelion theme song was the #1 karaoke song in Japan for years. You know?
It's practically the national anthem there.
Yeah,
you know? But this is neither here nor there. This is a Nintendo podcast from Last Stand Media. We're so happy to have everybody here. If you didn't know, the way we are able to do all of this is through patreon.com/laststandmedia, where if you go, you can sign up. And at just $5 a month, you can get early access to this podcast on Tuesdays. Normally comes out for Friday. You get early access, audio version ad-free, and very, very important, you get the ability to write in and be part of the show, like you heard Hayden a few minutes ago. And we're going to hear from many other people. So if you would like to come join us over there, we would love to have you. And of course, you get access to all the other shows we do, like Sacred Symbols, Defining Do, Constellation, and more, and Knockback. There's so many. There's too many shows to name them all at once. I can't hold all these shows. You know, there's just so many. But hey, it's over on Patreon. So there's the pitch. Let's get into one write-in about something I said last week that I just found really funny from Zip Davis. He said, "Hello, Rick fan club. Mr. Furman, that hamster that you were so curious about is named Rick." He's talking about Kirby. I implore you to please play Kirby's Dream Land 3. Not only can you play as Rick and use his awesome powers, but there's a stage where he is literally jumping from mountain to mountain to get to his girlfriend at the end, whose name is Pick. What a true romantic. Not to mention the awesome Samus. We haven't had that debate on the show yet. Anyway, and other Nintendo cameos. KDL3 is one of the greats. Please consider my request and have a zip-tastic day. Guys, when I heard that this young man, this hamster's name was Rick, that just warmed my heart. Gene, you're familiar with this?
Yeah,
with this young Rick fellow?
Yeah, Rick is great.
What happened to him? Where's Rick? Nintendo's forgotten about Rick.
Yeah, so he was correction. He was actually in Kirby's Dream Land 2.
2. Okay.
Oh,
yes. Right. He at least started there. But yeah, Rick can just absorb other powers too. He's freaking adorable. Yeah, where is Rick?
Rick for Smash.
Dude.
I mean,
yeah. Where was that discourse throughout these entire 10 years? You know, nobody was asking for Rick for Smash, and it's like, are we crazy? And then Smash is made by the creator of Kirby. He would have totally been down. He'd be like, "Oh, Kirby or a Kirby character in Smash, absolutely," you know. But nobody asked him.
To save us from corrections, Rick appears as a sprite it's not a sprite, it's Spirit in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I believe he was also a trophy. Rick appears in Kirby Star Allies.
Everyone's in Kirby Star Allies.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah,
true. So Rick is not completely forgotten,
been
but
forgotten.
That's true. And Rick was in Kirby Star Allies, and he was like a main like attraction. Like, oh my god, look who's fucking back! It's fucking Rick.
it's
And
Rick.
all
Fuck
Kirby
yeah.
fans were like, oh my god, yes. Yeah.
Dude, I first of all, I need to play this game with Rick in it, but I feel like Rick is prime for some merchandise too. Like this guy, he's just very, very cute.
Give
Dagan,
his own
who's the-
game. I mean, give the guy his own game.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, Rick, that's the only name for a hamster going forward.
Oh,
Yeah,
just
Rick is
absolutely.
such a good name.
That's it.
I had a buddy named Rick once.
Mm.
We stopped being friends though after I made out with his girlfriend.
No, that's what we needed.
What's her
Yeah.
name? Pick.
That's what this podcast was missing.
We were really, really good friends, and then there was just one night where something happened, and he heard about it, and it's like, man, Rick, I'm really sorry, dude.
Oh,
like,
man.
Rick,
like
shout
I
out,
didn't
Rick.
mean to. I mean, obviously I meant to, but like it wasn't like, Anyways, if you're out there, man, like it's really eaten me up over the last few years.
Was his girlfriend's name Pick?
Was it Pick?
Dagan, there's a character that you and Colin champion from like Mario 2. What's his
the last boss, Wart.
Wart?
Yeah, Wart. Yeah, well, Wart's been missing for years too.
We
That's
think
true.
he's owned by Fuji. We're not sure. That's the debate, right? Because Doki Doki Panic was a Fuji TV thing that was a cross up with Nintendo, and then Nintendo kind of leveraged it for the American version of SMB2.
Maybe. And Birdo was a unique creation
Yeah.
too, so maybe that's why they're able to use Birdo but not Wart.
Right.
Hmm.
Birdo and some other stuff too, right? Like Ninja and Shy Guy and all that kind of stuff. So there's some kind of
Yeah.
weird thing with Wart, because I feel like they would have definitely brought him back.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So something weird with
Yeah.
that. But again, we have no real idea. We're always pining for him though. Still, after
Yeah.
all these years.
I think it sounds like there's like some kind of like Nintendo's rejects lineup in the making here. We've got Rick, we've got Wart, surely many others that just have completely fallen by the wayside in this Nintendo lore universe. But
Yeah, and then for some reason Nintendo keeps trying to make Nabbit happen. You know?
is that who is that? I'm trying to remember.
Nabbit is the easy mode character in like New Super Mario Bros. Wii and now Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Or not.
Oh,
New
right,
Super
this
Mario
guy.
Wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weird thief guy.
Yeah.
He's got no backstory. Like, just appeared on and started appearing in games for no reason. He just became a full feature.
Nabbit kind of reminds me of there's an enemy in Super Mario Brothers 2. They do the jump thing. They're like in the cave in the first or second level, Dagan.
Yeah. I know
Is
who you're
that
talking about.
supposed to be him?
I don't
Are
think
they
so.
related? No.
He's not from
No.
Rabbids, right?
No.
Okay. I don't
Nabbit is
know.
not from Rabbids either. Nabbit is just some new concoction that they decided to just make
Yeah.
happen.
First appearance in New Super Mario Bros. U.
Yep.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. Okay. Yeah, he's got that whole frenemy thing. Like, is this guy a good guy or is this guy a bad guy? I like that.
Yeah.
I like that dynamic. It's kind of
Yeah, like
reminds
the
me of Mario.
Hamburglar or something, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
exactly.
yeah, Hamburglar. He's the best McDonald Land
Hamburglar's the
character.
best.
Although maybe Mayor McCheese. Unrelated, I know, but I love McDonald.
How do you
Land.
know all these things? They're like predate almost me.
They're so fun though.
They are.
Hamburglar's the best. He is the best. And then Grimace, I mean, they're all great.
They
They're
brought
all
him
great in their
back.
own way.
I mean,
brought
they've
Grimace
been
back.
trying to revitalize Hamburglar over the years, right? They made
Yeah.
Hot Hamburglar recently, right? Or not even recently, but like a couple years ago. I think in
you're right, yeah.
2014 or 2015, where
Yeah, well,
they made a
there
really
was
hot guy
very-
become Hamburglar.
There was very recently a McDonald's ad where it showed like his sleeve basically, and it's like, oh, are they trying to bring him back? Because it was like, was he holding like the tray of burgers or something?
yeah,
Like, there was
yeah,
something
yeah.
I saw online. It was like,
Mm.
oh wait, that's Hamburglar. So I think they should bring McDonald Land characters back. I miss that era.
Yeah.
That's like an MCU level tease where it's like they've got, like fan videos online with the guy like, oh, doing the face like shocked and it's like, was that the Hamburglar?
Hamburglar will return. in
Hamburglar will
2025.
return. Yeah.
Yeah, when did it become like insidious to cater to kids with fast food? But I feel like nostalgia is going to get the upper hand at a certain point. Like we could go back to Grimace and Birdie
Yeah.
and Mayor McCheese and all these characters, Fry Guys, right? Because nostalgia. So now
Mhm.
it's like, I think like post Fast Food Nation and all the muckraking with Morgan Spurlock and stuff, it became passe to like, all right, we can't cater to kids because obviously this stuff's not good for them. But now
Right.
we're reaching this era of like, let's bring it back. It's going to be okay to do that again. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I think Micah and I were part of like the very last generation of that saw anything related to those guys in a serious manner. Like, Micah, do you remember at one point there was like you got a cassette tape from McDonald's that had music and like a story with the McDonald's crew?
Oh yeah,
No, I never got that.
I have a very vivid memory of
That's
this.
cool.
I thought Dustin was a young man. What is this?
Dude, I'm not anymore. I'm 30 now. Micah and I are both we're practically we're old like you guys now. We're just
we're over the
You're
hill.
getting there.
We're over the hill. So we're
Over
done.
the hill is 40. So I actually didn't find that out until recently, and I was like, oh shit, I've been over the hill for 2 years. That's crazy.
Speaking of being over the hill and being young at heart, this is a bad transition.
That was an
Mario
awful
Wonder.
transition. Whatever you're going to talk about next, that wasn't a good transition.
It's not a good transition. Listen, okay,
Go with it,
listen.
go with it.
Gene, listen. There is a demo for Mario Wonder at kiosks at Target, and I think Best Buy. If you want to check it out early, you can go do that. Though, if you're listening to this on free feeds or on YouTube and not on Patreon, Mario Wonder's already out, but you could still try it there, whatever. I went to my Target and played it briefly, and the first time I went, there was a mom who the kid was in the cart playing it. I think every time I come here, no one's touching this kiosk or looking at it. The one time I come here to play a game, there's a stupid kid here trying to play my Mario game.
Bitch.
I'm like, I got coverage to do here, dude. You got to get out of here. So I left. I went somewhere else. I came back. He's still there. I thought,
In all fairness, maybe he had a YouTube show too. Everybody does.
I mean, fair enough. But if you want to go be a full adult person and go play Mario Wonder at Target, you can do that. But also, word of warning for our patrons as well. Mario Wonder has leaked online and is currently available on various websites that will get you in trouble. So I know there's been jokes about like, oh, the spoilers for a Mario game. It's like, dude, there's definitely spoilers for cool moments, I would imagine, with the Wonder Flower.
Yeah.
So be careful out there. There's not going to be any kind of shocking revelation, I'm sure, about any of the Mario cinematic universe, but just keep in mind. And with that, I want to throw this to you guys from our friend Cameron, who says, hey, crew, how hyped is everyone for Super Mario Bros. Wonder? Played the demo at Target, and it was a lot of fun. The new additions to the gameplay are quirky and add more to the game than I expected. So, Dag, I'll throw this to you first. How are you feeling about Mario Wonder? It just seems like, I got to admit, from my perspective on this podcast, being kind of mixed on the reveal to now, I've done a complete 180, and I cannot wait.
Oh, dude. It's so exciting. I mean, this coming weekend is reserved for Super Mario Wonder. And in a way, I feel bad that we're doing the show just a few days early. Like, I feel like this is really the quiet before the storm moment. We got Sonic Superstars, which I'm looking forward to in a couple of days. And I have a couple of days reserved for that because Wonder drops 5 days from now, and that's it. I feel like Friday night's an all-nighter. Saturday morning, I'm going to do a special Punching Up Plus for you guys with my thoughts of spending 8 hours of one sleepless night with Wonder. And yeah, I'm in like this mode now, and I'll explain when we talk about what we're playing, where I just want like a bunch of casual games I could just drop in and out of. And this is like perfect timing for me. I'm genuinely psyched.
Yeah, dude, it looks like the right game at the right time for me. From playing games like Lies of P and all this dark Baldur's Gate stuff, I can't wait. Micah, I know you're not a 2D Mario person necessarily, but how are you feeling about this right now?
Yeah, this is one I'm definitely going to try because much like Dagan said, I've been playing just a lot of story-heavy games, and I do want something, just a little side piece, much the same way I've been playing like Vampire Survivors just here and there. I wanted something else in that same kind of category of like, let me just play a level, then go back to my main story games, because I have just been playing these like really in-depth, RPGs, and I just need a break from that, but without feeling like I'm just wasting time, essentially. Not that Vampire Survivors is, but it's because I'm not good enough at it to get much further. So, like, I'm having fun with it, but I'm not really getting anywhere.
Get some.
Mario
Sure.
Brothers Wonder, this will be something casual I can jump in and out of, and hopefully actually make some progress in it. Because you're right, I'm not usually one of these people who enjoys, like 2D platformers. I'm awful at them. But maybe I'll just play as Yoshi, take the easy way out, and just enjoy the lovely visuals and the talking flowers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about even in the demo that I noticed, and they talked about this in Direct, is the different stamps where you can modify gameplay. And
Yes.
I haven't played it, so I don't know to what degree, but it's like if you have if you want a specific kind of easy mode, like, oh, I always fall into pits. I'm imagining it's very customizable. But speaking to someone who is playing it but can only say so much right now is Gene. So I asked him yesterday, I'm like, I'm assuming you're playing it. I don't know what you can say because I know there's been previews, but Gene, please take it away in whatever way you can.
Yeah, I've been playing Mario Wonder. The good thing about me talking about this is that I'm not far in it, so I don't think I can honestly even say much without, I don't think I can say anything new that a lot of people don't know or already don't or already haven't seen in the trailers. I do want to ask, what's in the demo in the kiosk? What do you play?
I played the very first level, and there was a second level, but I didn't stay to play it because I felt like even playing the first level, I felt like, ooh, I kind of just want to wait because I really want to be able to dive in. Holly and I played together, so it was the 2-player mode.
Mm-hmm.
Still kind of annoying to do that. Still not ideal to play that way.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of collision was good as opposed to New Super Mario Bros. U.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very cute. It was also nothing new because basically they show the entire first level in all the stuff they've shown so far.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so there's at least 2 stages, maybe more.
That's interesting that you didn't play the second level because like the second level is cool. So
Good. I'm kind of glad then. I would rather play it at home than standing at a Target.
That's actually cool that you didn't do that. It's cool that you actually got to save the second level and beyond.
Good.
I will say that what you said about spoilers is true. That obviously there's no like story spoilers. Like, oh my god, you find out that Bowser is. I don't know that. Maybe there is something crazy that happens at the midpoint or end of the game. But you don't go to Mario for a story. They clearly don't care about the story, right? But I will say that there are moments in Super Mario Wonder that have been like legitimately jaw dropping, and it's such a cliche thing to say, critical to say, oh, it's jaw dropping, but like I would finish a level, I would play a level, and something would happen in the level, and my mouth would just go stuck there, and I'd still be playing the level, and by the time I'm done, I'm still stuck, frozen, and I'm looking around and like nobody, like my friends, like I'm trying to look around to see anybody who saw me, my cat. I'm like, did you just see what just happened on the screen and what we were just listening to? Like, I think that Super Mario Wonder will have moments that you do want to like savor for yourself and be surprised.
Yeah.
And another thing I'll say, and to Micah's point, is that there's a lot of storytelling in these levels. Which is interesting because you don't really you haven't gone that in New Super Mario Brothers. New Super Mario Brothers are just levels. They're just constructing platforms and levels and puzzles and challenges. That's what it is. That's why they made Mario Maker, because it's so easy to make a new Super Mario Brothers game that they just let other people do it, because it's just like copy and paste platforms here. With Mario Wonder, everything feels so, like, to use a phrase from Digital Foundry, very bespoke.
Bespoke, that's right.
Yeah, everything feels very, very, very handcrafted for that level. Whatever you saw in the first level is just what you see in the first level, and then the next level is going to be something completely different.
So,
and another thing and John Linneman and Digital Foundry said this, is that like he was like saying like there are ideas in each level of Mario Wonder that could be their own indie game, Wow. And that's one of the wonderful things of Mario, is that like Mario games usually have so many ideas that even one level could inspire an entire game. But then the thing about Mario games is that they're like, okay, well, that was fun, wasn't it? Here's another fun idea, and you just move on to the next level, and some new concept happens. So the Wonder Seeds seem to be kind of like an evolution of that, where it's like, hey, you never know what's going to happen in a level. Now you really don't know what's going to happen in another level. And they seem to be optional. You don't have to go on the drug trip every single time. But I will say that the Wonder Seeds are probably the closest thing to Mario ever acknowledging like its like relationship with like psychedelics.
I was about to say, this is the LSD. This is Mario's saying, yes, I have done DMT to Joe Rogan.
Yeah. This is Mario finally admitting his substance abuse problem, acknowledging it, and like being at peace with it. The music is fantastic. There's like doo-wop levels. It just goes like it feels like a video game soundtrack by the great YouTuber and content creator Smooth McGroove. Right?
I appreciate
you guys
that.
know who he is, right?
Oh yeah,
I've heard that name before. I don't know if
he does all
Smooth
voice
McGroove.
music for video games.
He does acapella renderings of classic video game songs.
And it's all
You've
layered,
seen him before.
right?
I probably have seen him then. Yeah, I've definitely seen videos.
Beard, nine clips of him basically doing every single instrument in the song.
Genius.
Yeah. So basically, it's just like Smooth McGroove, the video game, and it's very, very cool. That said, it's also a 2D Mario game, so it's still operating within the limits of that, but it feels like it's stretching the limits. So that's kind of, I feel like, the most impressions I can give. Also, there's a debate about whether it feels different or not. I'm here to say that it absolutely feels way different than New Super Mario Brothers.
Okay.
New Super Mario Brothers always felt like a 3D character that you're controlling in 2D, very weighty and like kind of like slow and everything. Whereas Mario Wonder, they have this new art. Everything is new art, man, and the new art is meant to be snappy. He moves like a 2D character, which is amazing. So that's why it really, really feels a throwback to the Super Nintendo days. And honestly, we could be having a conversation that Mario Wonder is the best 2D Mario game since Yoshi's Island, Super Mario World 2.
Whoa.
Very
and
exciting.
There's a parallel between Yoshi's Island because the Yoshi's Island was released at the end of the Super Nintendo era, right? The Super Mario World obviously kicked off the Super Nintendo, the golden era of Super Nintendo, but Yoshi's Island ended it. And when we all played Yoshi's Island back in the day, we were like, "Whoa, this is not just another Mario game. This might be the best one ever made." And Mario Wonder seems to be trying to recapture that magic finally after all these years.
My 5 minutes with the game I know is so limited, but Gene, the one thing is like you were saying about the menus and stuff. Earlier this year we had a game, Final Fantasy 16, that I described as it just screams money in every place and location, and then through the music and the graphics and the voice acting. Those 5 minutes, I was like, this also screams money, but in a completely different way than Final Fantasy 16, where it's just like everything feels perfect and handcrafted to like a degree. Like, man, it's I'm so excited. It's crazy that we'll be playing it when this podcast comes out publicly. So
yeah, it's exactly what I said earlier in this podcast. It's like it feels like Nintendo really, really trying hard again with 2D Mario. Like, hey, let's give this a real earnest shot and make a really, really great 2D Mario game.
Yeah,
and then, so that's why you can't discount that in the Game of the Year conversation. Nintendo actually giving a shit about 2D Mario and like really, really like giving it all it's got. That's something you can't ignore, man.
Yeah, love that.
Hell yeah! So that's, like we said, this Friday. You may be listening to this either on your way to get it or on the way back. Don't listen to this podcast while you're playing it. Just give it full. This deserves full, dedication. You can listen to this podcast later in the night. You still have to listen to it.
Yeah,
you can't forget about it. Don't forget, but you should do these separately. But yeah, can't wait. Mario Wonder this Friday, guys. Let's get into some news here. This first one directly related to Mario Wonder, but very, very important. I'll make sure I get this name right. It's Kevin Afghani. Is that how that reads to you guys too?
Yeah.
Okay. So Kevin Afghani is the new voice of Mario and Luigi in Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Kevin's list of credential includes Arnold from Genshin Impact and voice characters in fan YouTube projects such as Dragon Ball R&R and The Secret History of Cuphead, and that's all on his IMDb page. So he posted a tweet where he said, quote, "Incredibly proud to have voiced Mario and Luigi in Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Thanks to Nintendo for inviting me into the Flower Kingdom." So yeah, I put in some of this guy's other credits, and I mean this in no disrespect because he's achieved the ultimate level, one of the highest degrees of voice acting, but Nintendo found someone extremely unknown for this.
Yeah,
And
shout out to them, actually, you know?
yeah, it's a really... Okay,
this is the
good.
complete opposite of the Chris Pratt route, right?
Right.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, someone who's just done a few roles. Like I said, Genshin Impact was probably, and to my understanding, this is a very minor, I think, small character. Genshin Impact fans will let me know. But to see him be like, hey, land this opportunity, relatively unknown voice actor who's, like I said, now achieved probably one of the highest, one of the most iconic character ever made. Right, I think with Mario, arguably the most iconic character of all time.
Seriously, yeah.
Obviously, this doesn't come without. I didn't see any consternation around him specifically, but obviously with Charles Martinet, kind of his outing seemingly being very peaceful, very amicable between the two of them. Also a bit mysterious on why he's out and why he's become the Mario ambassador instead, but. Either way, this is a cool situation. So I'll throw this to you guys. Dig, we have a new voice of Mario dating back. Charles Martinet. His first appearance wasn't actually Mario 64. It was some like Mario typing game or something like. People love to actually some Mario typing, something like that. But we'll say it's Mario 64, your favorite game. We got someone new here.
Can you imagine how excited this kid must be? I say kid, but I mean, he's obviously pretty young, still a small resume, kind of in the fledgling state of his career, not even a journeyman. And as you said, the exact opposite of like someone like a superstar, like a Chris Pratt. You know what the one thing that occurs to me though? And I think this is exciting. I think this guy must be super psyched. Kind of a younger ambassador too, which kind of, I guess, makes sense too from a youth demographic of having someone who's actually seems kind of cool, from a kid perspective. But you guys are saying like this whole really pull out all the stops feel and how rich Super Mario Brothers Wonder feels, right? But if you really want to give me a spared no expense look, can we have a different voice actor for Mario and Luigi? Just give us two voice actors for the two characters. How hard would it be? Pull a little bit of those millions, those billions from the coffers. Right?
Those
billions, hundreds of billions, whatever empire you got going over there. And give us two different voice actors. Why would it be so? I don't mean to make this a negative because it's a positive, but that's one of the first things I thought of is like, why does this guy have to voice both characters? These are two different personalities. These are two different personalities here. It's Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. You know what I mean? He wasn't the same voice actor for both.
Right. And who knows? He may even eventually be doing 3 if he's doing Wario
right?
as well. I'm trying to remember. I think Charles Martinet did maybe someone else too, another character as well. But so throwing this over to you, Micah, what I think is interesting about the story is how there was a mystery for a while where there was like a little bit of question when we first saw the trailer. I think most of us, myself included, didn't really notice anything. But then there was a few comments that were like, hey, that voice sounds a little different. What's going on here? And then eventually we found out Charles Martinet was out, that there was going to be someone new. No one knew who it was. Now we know. But, we had the situation where people it took a minute to realize that it wasn't him, which I guess, is props to him as a voice actor. So what do you think about all this?
Yeah, I'm with you that when we first saw that trailer, I was just so focused on the visuals and everything that I wasn't really paying attention to the sound effects, right? And so, yeah, when people said like, this sounds a little different than before, maybe they're just having Charles do something a little different. Who knows? And then they announced that he is indeed retiring. It was interesting to be like, wow, I really didn't notice, So I'm happy for this guy. I agree that I'm glad they went with someone who's a bit unknown because it is just on the one hand is giving someone a chance who isn't super famous. I like that. I like that they're not coming in with like what I'll call like baggage, essentially, of like, I really didn't want them to get Chris Pratt, not because I have anything against him, but because I was like, that's movie Mario. I want the games to just be their own thing. I don't want it to all be this giant thing that's like, oh, we have like actual movie stars doing the voices. It's like, that's not what I want. I don't want Anya Taylor-Joy doing Princess Peach's voice in the new Peach game, right? Like, I don't want that. That's not what I'm after. So I am happy that it's somebody that I've never heard of, give somebody a chance who hasn't done a ton of work yet on their resume, and sounds great. So I'm stoked about it, and I'm happy with this revelation here that we actually know who it is now. I wonder though if they like always plan to reveal it like this at this time, or was it just like, yeah, people figured it out, we're gonna tell everybody like now. I am wondering what their actual timeline was of like when they wanted to reveal it.
Yeah, well, I think with media people having the game and it leaking, they're probably like, yeah, let's just go. It's gonna get. Someone's going to say something. So just do it. Mikey, you said about what if it was the possibility where they were asked Charles to do something a little different. It made me think like, imagine like he's in a booth. Miyamoto's sitting outside. He's got like a cigarette. He's in the director chair. Maybe he's got a Dre. He's like, I need that. What's something a little different? He's like, wahoo. Miyamoto, he's got a vision. Okay. I don't even think he directed this game, but I imagine it was Miyamoto that could have been in the booth in that situation or directing the booth. We'll see.
Yeah, he's got final cut, right? I mean, he's got say on everything, you would imagine. So
right. Oh yeah, dude, everything. Miyamoto, he's the man in charge. Gene, you're the one playing it, so you're gonna be able to speak more to the quality of the performance. I don't know if you can say what you can, what you can't, whatever. But the one thing that I think. When Micah just said that she was paying attention to the visuals and so the sound didn't stick out. I think that's the kind of the main thing is that if it was bad, we would have immediately been like, oh, what was that? It didn't ask us or demand us to pay attention to it, which I think is probably the most important thing of all. So how are you feeling about our new Mario?
I feel like that it's not controversial. There's nothing wrong with the performance at all, right? The only thing is that like my ears have been so trained to Martinet's exact like tone that like when Mario and Luigi are so chatty in Mario Wonder. They pipe up all the time.
That's interesting.
So that paired with the frequency of how much Mario is actually like expressing himself more, and he's still not saying complete sentences, mind you, right? But he's saying different words besides Wahoo and Yoo-hoo. And it's like, okay, he sounds like he is sounding a little different here, And one thing I noticed is that Mr. Afghani, who's very talented, and Arnold is actually a fairly major character in Genshin Impact.
He is? Okay.
He's kind of the narrator. Like he's like the one who tells you like, hey, welcome to this new world. And like when it's a new chapter, like he'll introduce that one. So it's fairly important. I couldn't tell you who Arnold was in Genshin Impact, but it's been like 2 years since I played Genshin Impact anyways. But it is funny that he says to have voiced Mario and Luigi in Super Mario Brothers Wonder. He doesn't say, but thanks Nintendo for letting me be the new voice of Mario, period. Right?
Yeah.
So are we looking at a situation where we could just get different voices of Mario in every game?
Oh, that would be weird.
Like imagine the chaos that would cause.
Yeah, no.
We need consistency. Yeah. Okay, for our health, we need.
I would think so. That's what that is exactly my point. Is that like I hope that if whatever it is, I hope that we can get used to this guy, because I don't think it's a problem. It's just that you're definitely gonna hear the difference. And like as everyone did when they heard the trailer, right? They were like, "Oh, that's different."
Yeah.
So imagine playing that for hours on end, and you're gonna keep hearing that, and then so that's why it's like I really hope that they think about the consistency and they don't hire a new guy who's also the voice of Rick in Genshin Impact.
Yeah.
and does that, but yeah, he sounds great, and Mario is very chatty in this one.
Yeah,
that's interesting. That
Mario is just way more expressive. Like when he doesn't just go into a pipe. Like he'll go into a pipe and then the hat will float there for a little bit, and then his hand will come out and grab the hat and pull it into that one. When he's Elephant Mario, like he'll have to like squeeze himself into the pipe and everything like that. So there's always every little like he's never keeping still. There's always something going on with Mario, no matter what he's doing, and it's completely different from what we've known in the past. You know, like it really feels like they're trying to make a 2D Mario act as like a cartoon.
Yeah.
You know. So I really feel like this is something like Dagan is gonna fucking like
sounds
absolutely love,
amazing.
because like this is just an animator's dream come true here, you know.
Yeah, dude, can't wait, and congrats to Kevin F. Gaming on the new role. I hope, maybe Nintendo can just give you one of those billion that we talked about a minute ago. Just, you deserve it. You're the voice of Mario. I hope you're very rich and happy from this.
And go easy on them. Well, be welcome.
Yeah.
We're in that, right? We're in that period where we have to get acclimated. Maybe by the time we get through Wonder, we'll be kind of seasoned and we'll be used to the new voice. And it makes sense to go young and sort of be in this mode where it's like we could sew this up for years to come. Like we're going to establish this consistency with this guy over the next 30 years. But right now, with the internet and sort of people's irresistible cruelty online, it's like, come on, just be gentle with this young fella.
Yeah,
he's doing a great job.
Totally agree. Guys, moving on to our second news item. Splatoon 3 is doing a Halloween special event, special Splatfest called Splatoween. It's starting on October 27th. It's ending on the 29th. So if you guys have never done a Splatfest before, what you do is at the beginning of the event, you pick a team and you play for this team, and the teams are based around a question, and then you pick what you believe the best answer is. So the question is, which would be the best friend? Zombie, skeleton, or ghost? And with the event, there's going to be special items and theming in the game. Guys, I put a little link for you guys if you want to see. Some of these items are so cool. There's like a mummy thing that you can get on your head. There's like a Cthulhu type mask. And the one on the end, for guys, this is on the Splatoon Twitter account, where there's a plague doctor mask that you can get that is
so
very,
cool.
very cool. And I know that Splatoon does these, they do Splatfest every month, but this one in particular, I think just looked really, really fun. And it looks like they're putting, a lot of extra juice into this one in terms of the special items and the way they're theming the world. And this is going to be my gateway. I think, well, hold on. This might be something that I got to play at the wedding or in the hotel that night or something. This is over. Yeah. So this is going to be wedding weekend, right, Micah?
It is. Yeah.
Well, this is this is perfect. It's no problem because it's on Nintendo Switch. So just need an internet connection, and maybe me and Gene can pop in, play some Splatoon. Gene, I know you were into Splatoon because I think we talked about on the show. You had like one of the first viral Splatoon characters. Like you were showing up on everyone's.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Splatoon 3 when they hopped in, they were like, "Oh shit, it's Gene Park." So I don't know. Is this appealing to you at all?
I've checked out a Splatoon 3. It's only because I feel like I've just checked out a multiplayer gaming altogether.
Sure.
But it was the case where, I like having before I did like having like one solid multiplayer game like in my rotation. So it used to be Call of Duty, and it was Fortnite for the last several years, and then when Halo Infinite was coming out, I was like, okay, I'm going to switch to Halo Infinite. It's going to be Halo all the way, baby. And then that turned out to be a train wreck. So I was like, okay, Splatoon 3 is going to be it. And then Splatoon 3 wasn't a train wreck. It was fantastic. But I feel like I just got really tired. It also came out while I was sick too. So it's like, oh.
Yeah.
So I still love Splatoon, and I'm interested in it. So yeah, maybe we can check it out during. I'll reinstall it, and we can check it out during the wedding. I could
Hell yeah. Yeah, like Micah and Colin would be like walking down, and I'm like, dude, I just unlocked the plague doctor mask. It's okay, it's no problem. I'll use headphones.
Make sure you have Wi-Fi at the wedding.
Oh yeah, we need Wi-Fi, or I have a hotspot on my phone. Micah, do you see these images? I know you're not I don't think you're a Splatoon person, but I just love. They didn't need to go this hard, I think, because they've
No.
done all these other Splatfests, but I don't know if they've been to this degree.
No, these are fantastic. Like the pirate and the plague doctor. I have a very like special place in my heart for plague doctors. I just adore them. Actually, during like pandemic times, I did a whole like watercolor series of plague doctors as different birds because I just love them. So no, this is adorable. I have not played Splatoon 3. Much like Gene, like in my case, it was Splatoon 2. I played a ton of it. I loved it. I just felt like I had enough for a very long time. But the Splatfests always were just a really engaging way to get back into it. I remember they had one that was like ketchup versus mayo, I think.
Yeah.
And like, I do remember just be like, I'm team ketchup. I gotta win for team ketchup. We didn't win, I don't think. I think mayonnaise ended up winning that one. But it was like, I did enjoy the Splatfest when I was like really heavy into Splatoon. And these rewards here are great. I'm just looking at the little pirate lady and it's killing me. She's just so adorable.
Yeah. Splatoon 3 feels like the game that got away from me because I was really into it when it first came out. Splatoon 2 more so. But then this one, I was really into it. And then something came out right after that. It just got lost, completely lost. Didn't ever finish the campaign. Didn't even get super deep into the multiplayer. But I loved it. And I just love the style. And that's where I'm going to throw this to you, Dagan, is that I don't know if we've talked about Splatoon 2 in depth on this show, but that 90s Nickelodeon vibe on Splatoon is just brilliant. And I love the one tweet, maybe I put it in here. It's in the thread. There's a key art for this specifically that I'm like, this is legitimately probably one of the best, like my favorite images that Nintendo has put out. Let me just, I'll copy and paste it so I can, maybe I won't copy and paste it. It won't let me. But I just absolutely love this. And I've always loved Splatoon's style. So is this something that Dagan, I'm assuming you guys have this. Is this something you want to check out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge Splatoon player personally. I know I've mentioned this. My family's really into the franchise. They love it, including Helene, who doesn't play anything historically. But I'm a huge armchair fan for the art direction of Splatoon. I really think it's the cutest and some of the finest art direction in all the video games. It's that good. So when I saw this Plague Doctor mask and the whole mummy get up and their Halloween color palette that they're using, I'm like, wow, this is so, it's sort of, it definitely does channel that 90s Nick, irreverent feel. We talked about it feeling like tied in with feeling very contemporary fashion wise with graffiti, maybe a little bit of like that taste of designer vinyl toys. Like it just feels very, the design, the aesthetic feels very cool. So this Halloween thing is just an extension of that. There's such a consistent through line through this franchise's art direction that it's really cute and definitely appropriate for all ages, but also something different than the rest of Nintendo's IP that makes it really stand out and feel fresh and feel like very now. I don't know, that modern, sounds kind of corny, but it always strikes that way to me, and they sort of never miss the mark. Whenever they do something new or an add-on or, a new Splatfest thing, it just feels like a proper visual extension of that. So I'm always looking from afar of like, wow, they're doing such a nice job with these designs. Very visually appealing, which is kind of hard to do. Nintendo's good at that through all their IP, but I think Splatoon is a special one for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Splatoon 3 Halloween Splatfest, October 27th and ending on the 29th. You got to play it during that weekend before it's gone. So let's move over to some quickies real quick. We can, of course, talk about any of these. This first one will definitely be quick. Industry analyst Matt Piscatella, he works for Sarcana, used to be NPD, posted a tweet and reported there was one new Wii U sold last month. So apparently somewhere still had stock of a Wii U, and someone bought that up. Congrats to whoever that person is, wherever you're out there. There's not, you can play Xenoblade Chronicles X. If you get a copy of it, there's a few games still we've talked about on this show. So who knows? Maybe they're a listener out there.
Do you think that's a grandma that thought it was a Switch? Like, oh, little Henry wants the Switch, and somebody just brought it out. Somebody from a Walmart brought it out. Like, we still had this thing.
I imagine it just was caked in dust. Maybe there was like tears on the side of the box. Totally. And like, you want this? And they're like, oh yeah, it's Nintendo. Of course I want it. So whoever that person is, shout out. Hopefully they're listening right now. Moving on, Nintendo has quietly updated Peach's face in the key art for Princess Peach Showtime. I will go around for this one just for some quick thoughts and opinions on this, because normally what happens is with Nintendo is that you get a Japanese box art, which has smiles and people looking happy and color. And then you get the American box art where people are looking pissed. Kirby in particular is always pissed on the American box art. But that's started to kind of change. But this Twitter account at Super Mario, No Context Super Mario, posted this. And they also posted a follow-up that said, in case you were wondering if if this was a Japanese versus US thing, it also applies to the Japanese version. So you guys got the two versions side by side in this tweet I linked. Dag, how you feeling? It's just slightly down, maybe a little different. Some people said more movie-like.
Okay.
What do you think?
All right. When I saw this link earlier on our shared notes doc, I honestly looked at the side by side for 20 minutes and couldn't figure out which one I liked better, which is so unlike me. The first one is obviously a little bit, I guess, a little more cuter and friendly. And the second one looks like she's not angry, but she's a little more intense. Like it feels like there's a little more action-packed something to her facial expressions, at least in the sort of the Kung Fu version and the marquee pink dress version. I think the back one, the fencing version's unchanged, if I remember correctly. I should look at the link.
Yeah, those are unchanged. The Kung Fu definitely is more menacing.
Yeah,
in the new
it looks
version.
A little more like, I don't know, empowered female warrior type thing, But I honestly looked at it and I guess the second one's more appealing to me, but it took me a while to get to that conclusion. I was like, I don't know. I honestly don't know which one I like better here.
Yeah, it's one of these so subtle things that that they're having like marketing boardroom meetings where they're placing these two images.
Yeah.
And like the science says, that this is going to be the better one. And they're like, I don't believe you. And that you don't trust the science, So like it's touchy over there at Nintendo. But like, what do you think about these two images? Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Dagan I keep going back and forth between them. And I think for the central Peach that's like right in the middle there, I kind of like the first one better, only because she just looks like come have fun with me type thing. And I like that for like the main image that she looks very friendly and fun. I definitely like better though that over on the right with like Kung Pao Peach, that she is like in the moment, like she's fighting, because like you're not really going to be, I don't think you're going to be like smiling as you like punch someone in the face, right? So
yeah,
I definitely like that they changed that. I don't know if they really nailed like anger though. She looks a little confused almost, like what am I doing? But like I just like that they did change it, because I don't think she should be smiling 24/7, but I am on board with like I wanted her like main face sort of to still be friendly and inviting, because that is Peach. And that is just kind of like her, I don't know, her primary kind of thing is like, yeah, she's friendly, she's fun, she's pretty. But I do like that they changed her expression for the fighting Peach. Because I think that was a little strange to just have her be like, oh, I'm still having a great time.
she's like happy as she's killing you, which I think some people would like,
Yeah, maybe that could be its own thing, of course.
Yeah. You said one thing about, the first image is Peach saying, hey, come have fun with me. And I know that's something Gene and I have in common, that if Peach says, hey, come have fun with me, we're going to be there as soon as possible. So, Gene, as a high-tier Princess Peach fan, it's very important. What do you think?
I'm just like that Black Adam gif, just like zipping over to Princess Peach's castle.
Yeah.
I think she looks great. I kind of do agree with when Micah said that the first one, with the way she put it, the make me came around and be like, you know what, I do like the first one a little bit better, because she does look like it looks like she's saying, isn't this a fun time?
Yeah.
Whereas the second one is, I don't know, that there's obviously a lot more focus and determination there, and obviously it looks like the Mario movie version, right? It looks like Anya Taylor-Joy's version, which was fantastic and very expressive. So I definitely see that, but I like the new look. I like that they're giving her more like less of a doll face. Because like let's face it, like the open eyes and the open mouth, like she kind of looks like a sex doll.
Mm-hmm. The DSL, dude.
Exactly. You know. Like,
oh goodness.
There was a podcast, or wasn't it Chris Reagan that was talking about RoboCop's DSL, right?
Yeah, dude. Okay, in Chicago, I was sitting down to edit, and there's a note from Colin. He's like, please include RoboCop's lips at this timestamp. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, RoboCop also's got.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast. I was like, wait, is this podcast?
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's what.
So yeah,
Chris
Princess Peach and RoboCop have that in common.
Very, very similar in terms of attractability of lips. You know,
yeah,
that's hilarious.
And it's RoboCop's mostly just lips, anyways, right?
Yeah,
like there's not much else.
Nothing but the best, you know, with RoboCop.
Everything else.
That's all you need. Yeah.
You know what, Peach?
Imagine using RoboCop as a fucking sex doll instead of being an actual cop.
It's at least a body pillow.
So what? I've never seen RoboCop.
Like, imagine
he used to be
RoboCop
a man.
and like the inventor is just some fucking creep, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you got to see the first RoboCop.
He was part man. Right?
He was a cop, a human cop.
He was a man. He was Murphy. I forget his literally the first name, but
right. Yeah.
So we know the lips are potentially real, but the top part you don't see. But what other bits, you know, are man and what's machine? And does it matter?
They may go into that in the
question.
franchise. It's pretty twisted. It's not your typical 80s action thing. It's a lot darker. You know, hence the director and everything specific. But you know what? I don't think we've talked about this. Princess Peach Showtime, because of the different iterations and different costumes and stuff, give us a Zero Suit Peach. How can you resist? And also
that would
maybe
be too much.
Oh my God.
Gene and I we would be done for. Zero Suit Peach.
Give us a Zero Suit Peach and a Bayonetta Peach. I mean, let's just, you don't have to be inappropriate with it.
You know what? Bayonetta Peach would be great because they added a Peach costume in Bayonetta.
Bayonetta 2.
Oh. Bayonetta 2.
The unbelievable costumes. I cannot believe Nintendo okayed. Like there's like sexy Star Fox outfit in Bayonetta 2.
I've never seen these. I gotta look at
sexy Star Fox, sexy Metroid, sexy Link, Bayonetta.
Yep.
Oh, and then there's
unbelievable.
a famous story where Platinum was making these costumes, and they were like, Nintendo isn't going to greenlight these. Come on. And then they showed it to Nintendo, and they're like, yeah, that's great. Like, I think the skirt could be a little bit shorter, actually.
Oh my God.
So it's like, I mean, that's the wonderful thing about Nintendo is that like you hear all these stories, and it's like Nintendo is actually very encouraging in terms of like the artistic pursuits of certain
That's so cool,
companies, you know.
I love that.
They'll encourage Platinum to go sexier. They'll encourage the Monolith Software and Xenoblade to be like, hey, just take your time in the game. If you're not done with the game, just keep making it, you know.
Right. Well, dude, so this just happened this past week. I didn't have it in the show, but this is perfect time to talk about it. There was that marketing image for Wonder where Bowser hands the flower to Peach, and then she gets the elephant and she turns into the elephant, and he like practically pops a boner at that moment and then has a full bouquet. Like that is Nintendo perfectly being like, this is cute and kids will find it funny, but also adults are going to be like, damn, Bowser, you know, he likes them curves. He's happy about this, you know.
He wants an elephant DSL, you know.
Yes.
Or
exactly.
DSN?
DST?
DST? I don't know.
Junk in the trunk.
Yeah,
Junk
Nintendo knows how to
trunk.
skirt that line.
Junk in the trunk. Yeah, Nintendo's very good at it. It's a little bit more subtle than like 19 inches of Venom, you know.
Yeah. Just a bit.
Yeah. PlayStation would just say, "Oh, we're just gonna be talking about big old dicks here," but you know, Mario is like, you know what? You know, I think Bowser might have discovered a little bit of something about himself here today. You know.
I got to show you guys something while we're on topic here, and I will put this in the show. We're talking about, you know, Mario and sexuality. Have you guys seen that there's an outline of an official image of Luigi that has a bulge?
No.
It has it has, you can see the outline. I'm putting this in the show. This is very, very important.
Okay.
Copy link address. Please work. There we go. Okay, so it's going in the show now.
Okay.
Look closely.
Yeah.
And you can see this is not photoshopped.
Hold
Do you see? There's that little outline. Luigi's penis is real.
Let me see this.
Did you guys get it? Did it work?
No,
I
it's
can't
not
get
coming.
it. No.
Motherfuck. Okay, hold on. No, this is
I see it though. I got it on Google
is-
here.
this is too important. Okay, I have new link.
You
This is
don't
from
have to
Nintendo
look
Life. Thank you,
close.
Nintendo
Yeah,
Life, for
there you
this
go.
one.
Yeah.
See that?
Oh,
How does that make
goodness.
you feel?
Yeah, we all can say whatever we want about Kotaku, but that was actually one of Kotaku's better pieces where they were
Yeah.
able to kind of like, analyze how big Luigi might actually be using that shot in comparison to like a tennis racket.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, Luigi's actually this many inches. I forget how many inches.
Might
How
be
did
bricked
that
up,
get by
you know?
QC. It looks a little square, a little bit polygonal or something. I don't know. That's what I'm disturbed by mostly. It's
Yeah.
pointy.
He hasn't been upgraded since Mario DS, Super Mario DS, 64 DS or whatever. Needs an upgrade in that department.
I
But
like those shoes though. Those shoes are cool.
okay, so 2 more quickies. First of all, if you guys haven't seen, there are images out of Nintendo's Kyoto store that is opening up. I'm very sad this wasn't open by the time I was there because it looks so cool. Make sure to look this up. There's like Mario's head in a giant coming out of a pipe, and they have all this cool stuff there. So make sure to check that out. And then if you ever go to Japan, you can go to the Nintendo store in Kyoto, and soon to be a Nintendo museum in Kyoto as well. So lots of cool stuff for Japan. And last but not least, finally, we have got a reveal on the Lego Animal Crossing sets. That's something that is appealing to you. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sets at varying price points. Man, one of these is $75, which
But that's
Legos
the
have-
highest. And say for Lego, right? There's a lot of low
Yeah.
price point stuff in there. I was shocked to see 75 was the highest one. When it
Yeah.
comes down to, here's a $600 set.
Dude,
Lego. It's like,
Oh,
who
I
can
didn't even
afford
see
this?
these, man. Wait, you can get Isabel's house as a Lego set? That's crazy.
They're adorable and they're not Duplo. They're like big kid, like they look like a mix between Lego and Lego Friends. Lots of small details. They're
man,
not
this is-
pre-K. They did it right. It looks really good.
Yeah, this looks really, really great, actually. I did not expect it to look so cool.
yeah. So the
Oh,
$75
man.
one is probably the coolest because it is Nook's Cranny
Yeah, I was
with
about to say.
Rosie's house, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then like Isabel's house. Dude, I might have to get one of these for Holly. I got to avoid telling her about it. You can get Captain's Island Boat Tour.
That's the one I want. He's my favorite.
Dude,
They're adorable.
Captain is so great. I will never forget when I first played Animal Crossing on 3DS. He sings the song when he takes you, on his boat. If you skip it, he is offended. He's like, okay, I guess we'll just sit in silence now. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I never again would I ever skip his song. It's unacceptable. He deserves respect. And I disrespected him in that moment. So yeah, check those out. I don't know if there's a release date. Right now they say coming soon on March 1st, 2024.
March 1st. Yeah, that's a while away.
I
Oh,
love
that's
that we're
Oh
getting
yeah, there's
on.
a countdown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's not far. That's not. I mean, it's a shame that they're not getting it in time for Christmas, but I don't know. Maybe Easter is the next best thing. Were we the only idiots that got toys for Easter? I don't know. And not
Oh, I
everybody.
got some stuff every once in a
Right,
while.
that was
Nothing
a
crazy.
thing. Didn't have to just be candy. Could get a little something extra, right?
I got The Incredibles on DVD
Oh, that's a
one
good
year
one.
for Easter. One last thing about this though, guys. Kyle Bossman pointed this out in his recent video. I want to know what you guys thought. I'm putting a lot of image related things. I'm sorry for the audio listeners, but it's just too important. What is going on with our boy here? I'm blanking on his name. Tom Nook. Tom Nook is looking like a full ass man right now as a
He's
Lego.
too tall.
They stretched him out. Like, I mean, I understand you
Yeah.
got to make him a Lego character. That's tough, but
He's too tall.
something ain't right about this. He's
When he's supposed to be kind of portly. Like he's not round, like he's just it's wrong. It's just not
Yeah, this
right.
is the diabetic version.
it's either diabetic or like post breakup. Like he had a break. He realized he got to hit the gym. He's got to look slim and he's got the money, for the ladies, but he don't have the look. So Lego, we might be seeing Tom Nook at his best in Lego form, where this is his best life, or at least trying.
He should look
So-
happier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, check those out. They're very cool. Dagan, Take us away with your segment.
All right. You know what, guys? I keep hearing of like still unsubstantiated rumors, but I keep hearing them periodically, like every 3 weeks, that there's going to be a Zelda Lego set. And I think technically Zelda specifically is caught in some rights issues with that, supposedly.
Okay.
But I keep hearing that there's going to be a Deku Tree set that's a 2-in-1 that you could either create the Breath of the Wild version of that scenario or the Ocarina of Time version. So you could do the tree and the various accessories and characters in one of those two game forms, depending on which one you go for. And I keep hearing that specific rumor, which is very specific for just a rumor, right? Because you would think a Zelda set now would be definitely Tears. But people keep doubling down on this goddamn Deku Tree set, and supposedly it's going to be a gold box and the whole thing. And I'm just way too... I got to get to the bottom of it. I keep hearing it. And again, it's like...
Yeah.
It always seems from unfounded sources, like kind of dicey sources. I don't know if I really believe this, but it keeps coming up. Same exact details. So I'm going to report back on it when I hear more.
Please do.
This has been going on since the advent of punching up, and it just keeps happening. And I'm like, what is going on with this? Right.
Right.
And I like that it's not exactly new Zelda. It's kind of channeling the classic stuff, which is kind of cool. All right, guys, for this little game today, I'm calling it the Name That Game quiz. And I think where this came from is I really miss the day of instruction manuals, you know, having a little something packed in with the game. I remember being 14, NES days, 14, 15, going to the store. Parents have to drive you. Go to the mall, pick up a game. You got an hour ride home, but at least you could tear that box open and read through the instruction manual, right? There was a little something extra packed in with the game. So I miss those days. And, you know, it ended fairly recently, but I thought it would be cool to channel those days. So classic Nintendo days, NES, SNES. I tried to channel in the Wii era with this, but those instruction manuals are a little different. So I might do a Wii specific Name That Game episode in the future. But basically all I'm going to do is from various Nintendo instruction manuals, I took the name of a villain, a bad guy, you know, could be a little thug, a little sidekick character, a little lackey, right? And I'm going to read you guys the name and you're going to tell me what game it's from. Okay. Again, think classic Nintendo, 80s, 90s Nintendo. And if you guys don't give me the specific game, but could give me the franchise or maybe even another game in that franchise, I'll give you a half point. Okay. We'll do this benevolently because I think this is going to be tough. This is maybe an old man / old woman centric game. So we'll see how it goes. All right. I'm going to read you 10 and then we'll see who does the best. Okay.
Cool.
All right. So first bad guy name from the instruction book, Giga. And that's Geega.
Oh,
What game is that from?
I know it 100%. So I want someone else to, Micah, you're up.
I have no idea. I'm gonna guess it's Metroid. I have no idea.
Okay. Dustin, what do you say?
This is from the Mother series.
Okay. Gene?
I'm only going to say Mother series because Dustin said so. I was about to say Contra.
I shouldn't have sounded so confident. I didn't.
I was going to say Contra because that was going to be my original answer.
I tried to do
Contra
Contra in this game, and there's no baddies mentioned in the instruction manual. So Micah is the only one that got this right. It is Metroid.
What?
This is Giga is
what
a
is
character from Metroid, the first NES Metroid.
What's the? Is it Gaiga?
Oh, Gaiga sounds like a mother. Yeah, Earthbound villain.
Yeah.
It's Gigas. Is it
Gigas.
Gigas is the main daddy in Earthbound. Yeah.
I've completely embarrassed myself with
That was
being
kind of a
so
curveball.
confident.
All
Yeah,
right,
it is Gigas.
Micah.
Giga Metroid. Okay, yeah.
Giga,
Holy
right?
shit.
That the guy
from
that
the
zips up
Brinstar
and goes
region.
super fast across the screen, comes out of the lava or wherever.
Good job, Micah.
Nice job.
Perfect
Thank you,
attendance
Mike.
and not embarrassing yourself with this.
And yeah,
It's
nailed
probably the only one I'm
going
gonna
to
get.
get. Questions we've heard. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, you guys ready for number 2?
Let's do it.
All right, this one dates back as well. Twin Bellows What game can you find twin bellows in? Micah, we'll start with you again. What do you think?
It sounds like a Kirby thing. I'm gonna guess Kirby.
Okay. Gene, what do you think, my friend?
It sounds familiar. So I'll say The Legend of Zelda NES.
Okay.
Mm.
And Dust, what do you think?
Let's go with Super Mario Bros. 2 because there's a lot of very unique enemies in that game.
All right.
That aren't in other Mario games.
Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep going. I'm going to tally up the things, and then at the end, I'm going to read everything.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay,
Number
good,
3.
good.
This is a tough one now. We got to call back our gaming roots with this one. Urarin Boo. Urarin Boo.
Oh my God.
What game?
Dagan, I know all of these and I can't remember them exactly.
You got to
Dagan,
dig
you're
deep.
speaking
These
my
are old
exact-
games. These are,
You're culling like specific memories from our childhood, but I can't remember.
just picture
But,
that
yeah.
in that instruction book in your hand. See if you could channel that.
Urarin gay. What was it?
Urarin Boo.
Oh, why did I say gay?
Yeah.
All right, Dustin, I'm going to start with you this time.
Nintendo. Star Tropics.
Okay. Oh, I like
Just
calling
pulling
that
whatever
one.
I can out right
Oh,
now.
that's a good one.
All right. Gene, what do you think?
Oh wow. I'll say Contra again.
Okay.
I know I'm wrong on that one.
Micah, what do you think?
Ninja Gaiden.
That's a good guess.
Great guess.
It sounds like a ninja name.
All right, you guys, moving right along. Now, I should tell you also, I should have said this earlier. These don't have to be Nintendo IP. There are probably almost half that aren't Nintendo IP, but they're all very popular games. Okay, so definitely a known commodity across the board.
Good.
Okay, number 4, you guys, Atomic Chicken. Atomic Chicken. All right, Gene, I'll start with you this time.
I have no idea, so I'm just gonna say Arrow the Acrobat.
Okay. Oh, wow. Micah?
He's like, oh, you want to
I'm
be
gonna say-
obscure, Dagan? Okay, I can be obscure too with the wrong
This
answer,
is
but
hard.
whatever.
This is a hard game.
I'm gonna say Earthbound,
Okay.
which I didn't finish, but I played a couple hours of, and that was weird. So that sounds weird.
Yeah, that is a weird game. Dustin?
I'm going to copy Micah and say Earthbound because
Okay.
there's got to be an Earthbound one in here. And obviously it wasn't the first one. But I'm not going to say 100% that it is this time. I'm
We
gonna,
might have to play this game with clues next time. This is a tough game.
Mm.
This might be a little
Yeah,
tough. This is, and again, I'm workshopping right now.
yeah.
All right. This one might be a little easier. We'll see. Number 5, Chargin' Chuck. Chargin' Chuck. This is from a very big game, very important game. Mike, I'll start with you. Chargin' Chuck.
Oh, I'm gonna say Kirby because it sounds kind of cute.
Okay. Dustin.
Super Mario World.
Okay. And Gene.
Super Mario World.
Okay.
Wow, Gene, way to just copy my answer. No way you knew that.
Which is why I try to say with confidence to show that.
Yeah, I'm not okay.
know.
I don't want to taint. I think of just going straight answers now.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're halfway through. Now this is where half points may be in play. All right. But so let's see if you can nail it right to the bone. King Day Day Day. Micah, you're first.
I mean, I know it's Kirby. I don't know which Kirby game it is. But I know it's Kirby.
Okay. Give me. You got at least a half point. See if you can give me the game.
I don't know. I haven't played any of the old Kirby games. I started with like Kirby Triple Deluxe.
Okay.
And then I played like Kirby's Dream Course is probably the oldest Kirby game I've played. So like, I don't know.
Okay.
Triple Deluxe is a really good
That's
one
fair.
though. So.
That's fair.
It's what got me into Kirby in the first
Mhm.
place. I rented it on GameFly. Incredible game.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
really
made
one
me
of the
say
better
like,
ones.
oh, I gotta play all these.
Yeah, you literally start with one of the better ones you could start with. So that's great.
Yeah, that's a good.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Dustin, what do you think?
I don't know either. Kirby's Dream Land.
Okay.
He's an OG, I guess.
All right. That's okay. Gene?
Kirby's Dream Land.
Okay. All right. All right. Number 7, you guys. This is kind of a tough one. I'll give you a hint for this one, though. It's NES. Okay, it's NES. Cruiser Tetron. NES. I'll give you another hint. This is a boss character in this specific game. Cruiser Tetron. Dustin, what do you think?
3D World Runner.
Okay. Micah, I'll go to you next.
I have no clue at all. I don't even know what to guess. Like, I got nothing. I don't know.
Gene.
I'm just going to say Power Blade for the NES.
Man, you're pulling out amazing, obscure games. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm almost going to give you a half point for
the
that.
boomerang, dude. Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to give you another hint for this one because I feel like these are hard. We got to channel SNES. Okay, this is an SNES game. This is not a bad guy. This is actually This is a character. I don't want to say a summons, but it's a magic spell. Okay, which may also narrow the choice down. SNES game, Undine. What game is this from? Dustin, you're first.
Let's go with Final Fantasy 3/6.
Okay, Micah.
I'm gonna say it's a Zelda game.
Okay. So we'll just say Link to the Past.
I'll just say Chrono Trigger.
Okay. All right, you guys.
I should have said that.
All right, we're getting to the almost
we
to the
did all be
bottom.
wrong,
Last two.
so-
I
Yeah.
think everybody's going to get this one. Okay. Medusa.
Oh.
I believe in you guys. Micah.
Greek mythology. I don't know. I don't know what that would be from.
All right, I almost said something, but I'm not gonna blow it because Gene and Dustin still have to go. Gene, Medusa.
Castlevania.
Okay, and Dustin.
Gene, you've questioned everything for me. Kid Icarus.
Okay.
Though,
I'm trying to think.
You know what? It could be Kid Icarus.
You know what?
You should stick with that one because you could be could be right too.
I'm gonna allow it. Last one, guys. I feel like if you really think about this one, you're gonna get it. Okay. And I'm gonna give you one hint because I feel bad that this game is maybe a little too difficult. Micah, Blue Virus. It's an NES game. And it's a Nintendo IP.
I don't know. I mean, I genuinely don't know.
All right. We're going to make these games a little less old manish. And then for the next
these
iteration.
boomer games.
Gene, what do you think? Blue Virus.
I'm going to get eaten alive on Reddit.
Honestly, Mike, I'm with you. This is one I couldn't even tell you. I'm like Resident Evil.
That's what I thought. I immediately thought Resident Evil.
Sweet Home, the original NES, the version of
I feel
Resident
like
Evil.
I would give bonus points for this one because I think there's a chance if you never looked at the instruction book, you would never know what this thing was called or any of the enemies in the game, which there aren't that many. Dustin, what do you think?
This might actually. I wasn't going to taint it.
Okay.
Dr. Mario.
Okay. All right, you guys. I'm tallying up the points here. It looks like Gene and Dustin. No, wait a second. Hold on. Stop the races. It looks like Dustin won with 3.5 points. Micah's got 1.5, and Gene's got 2.5. So it was a close race.
Dang.
Close race.
What was Undine?
Guys, Undine is a spell from the Secret of Mana. Secret of Mana.
See, Chrono Trigger, close.
You were very close. You were the closest on that one. Let me go down the list. Giga, Metroid. That's a Metroid villain. Twin Bellows, Kid Icarus. I think it's the second boss character, the double-headed dog in Kid Icarus. Uraran Boo, Super Mario Land. Right? Kind of an obscure. Not all of us have played those games, and it's been a while.
Of course, Super Mario Land. Yeah.
Atomic Chicken. Right. Shout out to Colin. That's Mega Man 2. That's the robotic chicken on Woodman stage, I want to say. Atomic Chicken had to throw a Mega Man game in there. Super Mario World. I think Gene got this one correct. Charge and Chuck. Super Mario World.
I got this one too.
Justin got one down.
King Dedede Day. I was looking for Kirby's Adventure. It's the only bad guy mentioned in the whole booklet. But you guys all got a half point for Kirby. Cruiser Tetron. This one was ridiculous hard. Life Force, a.k.a. Salamander in Japan. I think it's the giant dragon head, maybe the third boss in that game. Undine, we already talked about. Medusa, Castlevania, but I will also accept Kid Icarus because I think Medusa is the last boss of that game. And Blue Virus, guys, Dr. Mario. Kind of an easy one, but so simple that maybe it was a little too tricky. But that, that's pretty
tricky because you don't really think about Dr. Mario all that often, But yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, he's been expelled from the medical community for not being a real doctor.
Yeah, he's like that kid that was pretending to be a doctor. That young teen. He has his like headshots of him like pretending to be a doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so next game, I'm going to bring it more to contemporary Nintendo. And maybe we'll stagger it back and forth. We'll do something old school and then we'll do something a little newer.
Okay.
Yeah, this way we could kind of get in some kind of rhythm with not always staying in the retro realm.
That was fun. I haven't thought about characters like Urara and Boo in a long time, so that was fun. That was cool.
Yeah. Back in the day when we knew what they were called, right?
Yeah.
I mean, instruction manuals were the only fountain of story and information that we have on any of these games. They were the ones that kind of fueled the imagination.
Yeah,
right?
Seriously. So. Yeah, built out a whole world. Now it's I wonder if game developers are kind of psyched that they don't have to do that anymore. It's a little bit of work off their plate. But they don't have the games.
I feel like it's more work to actually have to integrate all that stuff into the game,
That's true.
Because back then they didn't have to be like, the story is whatever, just put it in an instruction book, right? But now it's like, oh my god, how do we make the intro and how do we do this and do that? I don't know. But I feel like a lot of people still need to know more about like how I approach games. Is that I don't really care about the story all that often. If the story is terrible but the game is great, then I'll say the game is great.
Yeah. Period. Oh, I'm the same way, dude. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that 100%.
Yeah.
Well done, you guys. A valiant effort across the board.
Yeah. That was fun. Thank you, Dagan.
Of course.
For a delicious segment. But speaking of delicious, let's talk about what we've been playing. I'll go first because it's quick and it's not Nintendo. Not that matters, but I don't know. A lot of people hear this kind of stuff on Sacred, but I want to mention here too. Main game I've played since last episode is Lies of P. Totally done with it. Finished. Moved on. My quick thoughts are it is absolutely the best Souls-like game. So a Dark Souls style game that has not been made by From Software. With that said, I don't think it's as good as a From Software game. I think there's some things they need to get. Some of the tuning, the way the weapon, the combat feels, some of it mainly I think comes down to me with combat feel, but everything else, man, the world in this game is so cool. For people who don't know about it, it's a Pinocchio. It's inspired by Pinocchio. Lies of P. You're talking P is Pinocchio for the most part. So you're going around killing puppets that have gone full aggro, killing people. And it's just a really cool, neat game that if you're into Souls-like games, this is the first time I can say, because I haven't liked any other Souls-like games, absolutely check this game out. It's awesome. It's not on Nintendo Switch, but that's why I'm playing that. And I just got back to Baldur's Gate. Finally, I haven't played Baldur's Gate since I left for Japan. Coming back to Act 3. Already crazy stuff happening. Probably my game of the year this year. Still a lot of stuff coming out, so I don't want to say it. I don't want to call it early. But that's the game that legitimately, I'm not saying this as fanboy shit, but when the entire time, that 10 hours I was playing Starfield, I was thinking about Baldur's Gate. And that's just how good it is. I hate to say it, but that's what happened. So that's it for me right now. Micah, I'll throw this to you first. I want to read something real quick to kind of kick you off here. You've been playing Miniko's Night Market. We talked about that a bit on the last episode. I don't need to read this whole thing, but they put out a tweet saying, apologizing for some of the performance issues you talked about last week. First patch coming shortly. They're hoping to get it out soon. And a second apology as well, that is saying, hey, we really are sorry that this happened. So it looks like some of these issues are being addressed, but you are still holding on to this game. How do you feel about this, the game and the promise of a patch?
Yeah, so I still don't recommend it at this time because it is just still fundamentally broken. There's a lot of bugs in the game that I have not experienced myself, but in like the later game, people just get completely stuck. There's just a ton of issues. Or you gift, let's say you gift a village or something, you wake up the next day, you never did the mission, you have to do it again. That type of stuff keeps happening to people. The worst thing for me still is just the loading times. Some of the mini games lag so badly, you think the Switch is just frozen completely. Like, we're talking about the screen just hanging for 30 seconds to a minute after you do a task. And it's just not great. I still got hooked on it, though, just because I love these types of games where you go collect resources, go give stuff to villagers, craft things. I got completely hooked on it, but I had to stop playing finally just because I was getting to a point where a lot of people had like this game-breaking bug, and I said, I have to wait till they fix it because I don't want to get to this point of no return where people are essentially getting trapped in a building and they're just stuck in there. And so I was like, well, I don't want that to happen to me. So I put it down for now. It's a real shame because the game's very cute. It's fun. It's a little shallow, I'll say, in terms of it lacks the Animal Crossing feel where the villagers are all your friends. It really does feel like somebody described it as like you walk up to someone, they just ask you for something. And you're not friends. They don't say, hi, how are you? Like, it's just like, I want ramen. It's like, all right, I'll go buy you a ramen. And then they give you a reward. It really does feel shallow in that way of like, I don't feel like I'm friends with these characters. I'm just enjoying doing the little tasks.
It's like having kids. Like
yeah,
all
basically,
these
right? Like,
little
it's
bastards just asking you for things all the time.
That's the game. It is fun. It's cute. I'm enjoying it aside from some of the issues, but I still I don't recommend this to people until they actually fix it because there are just some late stage things that are completely broken for people. And I'm glad I saw that because otherwise I might have gotten stuck there myself. So I put that down for a bit. The other games I had listed were I tried Shin Megami Tensei 5, which I've owned for a while, and I'm just not in the mood for it, though. Nothing wrong with it. I picked it up. I played it for like an hour and a half, and I was like, this isn't what I'm into right now. I switched over to Fire Emblem Engage. That caught my attention right away. Like, that's exactly what I was on the hunt for, so it's nothing against SMT5. As soon as I started it, I was like, oh, maybe I wasn't feeling Persona vibes right now. Switching over to Fire Emblem was like, this is exactly what I needed, just what the doctor ordered. Because having finished up, Sea of Stars and everything, I wasn't sure if I wanted to jump into like a big story game. Fire Emblem, the way that the battles are just segmented, it just feels more approachable to me than other, like RPGs, for example. It just feels so segmented that you're playing levels at a time versus I don't know how other games are structured, that it's more approachable as I'm coming off of like a big story game. So that's where I'm at right now. And Fire Emblem Engage, I love the art style. It's very colorful, very fun. Excited to see where the story goes with that.
Nice. Yeah, Fire Emblem Engage, it's a game I'd like to get back to at some point. It's like surprisingly a really big and long game. I remember Holly was playing it forever, it felt like. So, but yeah, cool. Good to hear it. Dagan, let's go to you. You've been in the world of Spider-Man. Not the new Spider-Man, not early access, but checking out Spider-Man, right? And some other things. So tell me about it.
Yeah, things have been a little slow on the Nintendo Switch front over the last week or so because Colin and I are really immersed in all things Spider-Man leading up to Spider-Man 2 coming out on Friday, just a few days away. So went back, played the original Insomniac Spider-Man game from 2018. I played the original PS4 version. Colin played the PS5 version, the newer PS5 version, the sort of, the kind of redo or enhanced version. And we already did that episode of SS Plus. Now we're doing the DLC content for that game as another episode later this afternoon. And then our last one will be Miles Morales. I think we're recording that later in the week. And then I'll be free from Spider-Man until 2 comes out. But I think because of the wedding, we may be a little bit delayed on playing and talking about Spider-Man 2. So I'll be free for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Now, I have Sonic Superstars pre-ordered. I never pre-order anything. So I plan on, once we record Miles Morales on Wednesday, I'm going to play Sonic for a couple of days. And then I'm going on a Mario Wonder run just for as long as humanly possible. We do have Spider-Man 2 for Sacred Symbols, and we have Alan Wake 2, which is the week after Spider-Man 2. So we have a lot of exciting things going on both fronts, on both the PlayStation and Nintendo fronts. But I'm looking forward to being free for Wonder and Sonic. And then, of course, as I talked about, December, we usually in LSM, I'm not sure how it's going to work with Punching Up, but with most of the shows, we try to have a hiatus in December, and that's going to be my Tears time. December, as it stands now, I'm going into Tears of the Kingdom full bore, which will be kind of interesting to go while the talk has kind of subsided, right? It's not on the top of everybody's playlist right now. There's other things. So it'll be kind of cool to go back and just tackle it while it's quiet on that front. And that should be, and I'm really looking forward to that because I feel like I'm really late with that and I feel really bad about it. I feel bad about my inner gamer sort of hurting about that a little bit. So it stings right now, but I'll get past it. That'll be the salve, actually spending time with it. And, but I'll tell you, man, going back and just covering another gaming gap, like my backlog with playing Spider-Man. And I know Gene's playing 2 already and has already said how awesome it is. But the first Spider-Man for me right now, it's only 5 years ago, dude. So friggin' good. The DLC was so.
Spider-Man. I would say Spider-Man 1 is still the better one.
Oh, that's interesting to know.
In terms of like the gameplay in part 2 is better, but like in terms of like a whole package.
Oh,
like
interesting.
The story and like the pacing and everything like that. I think 1 is still a better pace story.
Wow. That's interesting. I can't wait to play 2. I knew it was going to be better in terms of gameplay, you would think.
Yeah.
But man, that's one of those.
You think about how many characters there are in 2. There's 2 Spider-Men.
Right? Oh, right. That's right. Yeah.
You think about how you're going to pace that story out by having 2 huge main characters. So there's a little bit of a struggle there. And I mean, I can't really say anymore.
No,
I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say that when Venom shows up, sorry, I don't mean to take up your spot.
No, not at all, dude. No, not at all.
You'll have fun. You'll have a fun time. I can't. I've been so enjoying your Spider-Man journey. I've been loving those episodes.
Oh,
so
thanks,
guys,
dude.
if you guys are listening, please check those out if you're in a Spider-Man mood, because it's a perfect companion to anyone who's like in a really good Spider hype cycle. It was really nice to kind of hear Colin like relitigate his old Spidey takes, and then also hear you just basically your new impressions of it, which is great.
Oh, it's crazy. I'm so sort of grateful for the opportunity to cover things that while it's going on. Like I could think back to 2018 because we were just starting Knockback, and that game was coming out. I think Colin was still out west, right? He was still in LA, and it's like it's right before your eyes, and you're missing it, but you can't do anything about it. And then you get this distance from it. It's like, am I ever going to be able to go back and play that? So it's nice just to have the opportunity. It's one of those games that you're so sad to see come to an end, but the DLC specifically in Spider-Man is just an extension of the game. So to have that extra 6 hours was such a treat. And we'll talk about that in just a couple of hours, and then be free from Miles Morales, which I watched my son play when it came out. I think that was his first PS5 game, actually. And, so I'm a little more familiar with it, although I haven't played it physically yet. So it'll be interesting. And then 2 and the other PlayStation stuff. But I got to tell you, man, I'm excited to be free for a little Switch action, especially now with all these rumors that Switch 2 is not going to be possibly far off. So I got a lot to catch up with the Switch.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect transition over to Eugene, because we talked about you playing Mario Wonder earlier, and we've dipped our toes a little bit about now you're playing Spider-Man 2. The reviews are out today.
Yeah,
like 90 plus, 92 right now
91,
on OpenCritics?
92.
Surprising.
I gave it a 3.5 out of 4 stars. The same rating as Final Fantasy 16.
Okay.
I will say, despite all my criticism of, despite being known as a guy who was always criticizing Final Fantasy 16, I love Final Fantasy 16 anyways. I actually do think Final Fantasy 16 is better than Spider-Man 2.
Whoa.
Wow.
Even if like Final Fantasy 16 had troubles in terms of like making its story straight and making it make sense, like I feel like the emotional beats when Final Fantasy 16 is getting to those points where it like really matters emotionally and it's trying to hit you and hit those nerve centers, 16 does it better than Spider-Man 2, and I did not expect that. I totally expected Spider-Man 2 to blow Final FF16 out of the water. I was like, just wait, just watch how Insomniac does it. They're going to do cinematic storytelling so well, and they do. But I feel like that the story that I felt so much more emotion at FF16, even though the story makes less sense than Spider-Man 2. I hope that makes sense to people.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man 2 is a very well told story. It's very clear. You know who the bad guys are. You know what the themes are. But I feel like it just wasn't as interesting as what we got in FF16, as messy as that was.
Mhm.
In terms of what I'm playing, I don't know if I want to get into should I talk a little bit more about Spider-Man 2? Like, Dustin, do you have questions about it that are not spoilery?
Let's hold it, because I'm hearing stuff like there's so many people are getting extra sensitive about spoilers right now with it being pre-release. So let's save. We want to talk about it next episode, maybe.
Sure. I will say, don't watch the launch trailers, for God's sake. You know, like
I heard about that. That's why I'm like, let's just play it on the safe side. You know.
Yeah, because like some people on the Discord were complaining about it, and I completely agree. Because like when I saw the launch trailer, I was like, don't show that part. Don't show that part. They showed that part. How could they? Why did they show that part? That nobody knew about that part before they showed it. So why are they showing it now, like 3 days before the game comes out?
Choice.
You did not need to show that. You know. And I'm not even saying that this is like some wild thing that they showed or whatever like that, but it's a neat little surprise that nobody knew about, and then all of a sudden they decided to show it. I didn't even mention it in my review, you know. It's a lot of fun. I am playing, so obviously we already got Mario Wonder out of the way, so that's my Switch part. Dustin, I really want to talk more Liza P with you, actually.
Yeah.
Because
dude, spoiler cast. We gotta make it happen.
Hey, Dustin, we should do that. Just
Let's
you and me, even, you know?
Yeah. There's been talks about
let's have a Liza P conversation with no controversy whatsoever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would love to do that, because it's there's a lot of like nitty gritty stuff from I talked about on a show I was on recently, where it was really fun to get into some nitty gritty stuff about Liza P. So I'd love to do that with you too.
Yeah, I tried listening to that, but I couldn't because of everything going on. I'm just like, man, I can't really enjoy this conversation now at this point.
Tainted,
but
yeah,
I'll listen to it before we do, because I'm literally halfway through. I just entered Act 6 last night, Liza P. And the only reason I'm taking that long is because I keep re-rolling a new character. I keep starting all over again, and that's how I know personally that this is a good Souls game. If I can't even get myself to finish it because I keep starting all over again, because it's like, no, I can do that better. Yeah. I can do a different build. I'm understanding this game more. And so let me build it the way I want to. Let me build my Pinocchio the way I want to, and just optimize my run. So now I feel like I get the game a lot more. I understand the systems a lot more. I'm wondering why you think the combat isn't a little off, because I actually think the combat is kind of the best part, actually.
Really? Yeah. So I've been really trying to figure out how to even figure out my own thoughts about it. It's really hard to describe in the way that. So you have Dark Souls that is kind of a mixing of dodging and blocking. You have Bloodborne that is just dodging, and then you have Sekiro that is just blocking. And this game kind of tries to do all of it.
Sekiro and Bloodborne, and you're right that it does try to do all of it. Yeah.
And I guess this may come down, I mean, all opinions are personal preference, right? But I never felt like I understood fully how the game wanted me to play.
Sure.
It wants you to do all of it. It wants you to dodge. It wants you to block. But that it never quite, that balance of like, okay, there's certain attacks that it will not let you. I cannot dodge them unless you get a special ring or something. I'm like, okay, well, so it kind of feels like I should be blocking more. The block also felt, the block is slightly different from Sekiro, which I've beat Sekiro like 6 times. So it's a lot of muscle memory still in where I was like, it took me really long into the game to get the block right. So with that said, I still beat the game and beat the optional. There's like a optional final boss, very Souls-like. That's not a spoiler. That's like, so I did it. It was just one thing, Gene, that I will tell you is that about respecking. That's when I think one of the major flaws is that, particularly at the end of the game, I think that I don't want to say respecking is essential, but some of these bosses are very. You're going to have it's not designed that you should respect to do this, but there are certain ways to configure your character that you're going to have a much harder time because of the way the bosses are designed.
Okay, yeah. See, I'm not that far. I just beat the black bunnies, which was an amazing boss fight. And so I totally agree with you. First of all, like I'm glad you clarified your combat. That makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot of sense. I'm feeling that where I am feeling like I'm not sure whether I should block, whether I should dodge, whether I should perfect guard. Perfect guard is very important. My one thing is that like Sekiro had so many different animations for the parry, you know, so it always felt and looked cool. Where the perfect guard is always just one animation where the puppet is just going this. So I feel like visually that's very boring. So it doesn't feel as good. But the thing is that landing a perfect guard and then like attacking with like your what is it, the Fable art or whatever like that, and just like decimating these enemies, like you eventually get to a point where you just like destroy some enemies. But again, I'm not that deep in, and I have heard that the later bosses can be pretty hellish, and that this game could be harder than Sekiro or Bloodborne, and so that's interesting. And it's really hard. It really is hard, and it did give me a long time to get the perfect parry right. You have to be holding guard, and not just a kind of tapping it like the way Sekiro does. Because Sekiro trains you into like clack, 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 clack. You know, like you're always trying to parry like it's like Dance Dance Revolution with your fingers, right?
Very rhythmic.
Whereas with Lies of P, it's like you really gotta be like holding up a defense. You gotta be like making sure you hold that block like even after the perfect parry. So the rhythm is a little different. But I do like the combat. I think the level design is a little bit. It's the only thing that falls short of FromSoft. It's very simple. You can tell that this is their first time making a game like this, and they did a really great job at it. But it's also not like evolved like the way even Bloodborne was, right? Like I think Bloodborne is kind of still the epitome of FromSoft level design, even in light of Elden Ring, right? So, but I'm really, really enjoying Lies of P. Maximilian Dude calls it his game of the year. Over Baldur's Gate, over anything.
Big fan of that.
He says he said this is a game is an 11 out of 10 to me. You know,
Dang,
and also my buddy Pat over at Castle Super Beast was like, there are definitely things in Lies of P that does it better than what FromSoft has. And when I heard that and what Maximilian said, I was like, and what you said, I was like, you know what? Like I've been sleeping on Lies of P. Let me get on this, get in on this. Finally got in on this. I was like, you know what? Everyone's right. This is a great. Like I knew it was a great game when I first played it for an hour. But now that I'm like really, really like ingrained in it, I really understand the systems. I'm like, this is a fantastic game. Really great storytelling, as I said on X. Really, really enjoying it. Not a Nintendo product, obviously, but you know, it's really, really fantastic. And I assume looking forward to Nintendo getting more Souls likes, please. You know?
I assume there's so much crossover. The stats with Nintendo Switch is that people have other consoles, you know, too, alongside. Very few people have just a Switch. Right. So
check out Lies of P. It's if you like Souls likes, like Maximilian Dude says, this isn't a Souls like, this is a Souls game. And I'm like, yeah, kind of. It kind of is. The one thing though is that it's made all by Koreans, right? And the Koreans, as we know, are great storytellers. You know, look at Squid Game, look at Parasite as the mainstream examples. And I think Lies of P kind of shows that strength in the writing. The translation part is what gets me, where it's like I think that's what a lot of people find off. Is like, oh, the voice acting or isn't as good, or the writing isn't as good. I think it actually goes back to the localization and like translating the Korean language. There's an enemy in the game called White Lady, which is a very, very funny person to fight and talk about. And like you could do so much more. The thing is that White Lady is can be funny, but it wouldn't be as funny if you just simply added the white lady, you know, and then it's like,
Mhm.
okay, well, that's a little bit different. That's a little bit more important. And then it's just random white lady that you defend.
Well, yeah.
But if she's the white lady, that's a little different, you know.
Mhm.
And it's little translation quirks like that I think pop out for some people that I think people really can't explain, and even I can't really explain. But as a Korean, it sounds like weird little translation stuff that isn't quite making it over to English. I mean, even the name Lies of P it sounds funny until you realize that P is actually what means blood in Korean. So it's actually a pun on, you know, lies of blood, you know.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Korean teams, man, there's like definitely something going on in South Korea in terms of game development, you know, with that the team that does the Black Desert games. I know
Crimson Desert.
Desert. PlayStation's doing that second party game, Stellar Blade.
Blade, you know. And that's great, you know, because Korea is such a bastion for gamers. You know, like it is a place where gaming cafes rule, you know, even more so than Japan. You know, like Koreans literally fucking died there, you know? So,
yeah.
And like, oh my God, you've been to Japan. If you go to Korea and you go to one of the PC cafes, it's just gaming heaven. Just everyone there just gaming and smoking like crazy. It's just awesome.
Even better.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get into some listener questions.
Mm-hmm.
This first one isn't a question. It's a write-in, but I like the way it made me feel when I read it. So I'd like to read it to you guys, and then we'll get into these two questions. This is from Eurogos, who says, "Hello, Punching Up crew. I wanted to express my reasoning as to why I'm so excited about Mario vs. Donkey Kong's upcoming release. When I was growing up in Greece, I was the first person in my village to get the game and beat it. I didn't even know what a Game Boy was until a summer when a German family visited for a vacation. I became friends with their son, and we would hang out every day playing his Game Boy. He only had 2 games with him, Gargoyles Quest and Donkey Kong. We couldn't understand each other, but that Game Boy started a friendship. When he left, he gave me his Game Boy and those 2 games as a gift to say goodbye, and told me in broken English that I barely knew, quote, have Game Boy home too." So, moving on, he said, "Little did he know that kind gesture would start a lifetime of gaming. I would show off the games to my friends. We loved Donkey Kong. For the longest time, I couldn't get past certain levels, but I kept at it, and I was the only kid who beat the game in my village. Suffice to say, alongside Gargoyle's Quest, Donkey Kong holds a special spot in my heart. I am so excited for Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and I can't wait to play it and remember the good times back home. Thank you for all your efforts. I love the show. Sincerely, Eurogos." Hopefully I got that name right. What a charming story.
Very cool.
That made me tear up, like just now, you know?
Yeah.
Because I love stories about just hearing about how gaming just starts with you. But then Yorgos really just kind of takes you there with his story, you know? Like, I really felt like I was there in like this sunny Greece home with this kid I don't know. And we were playing fucking Gargoyle's Quest, which is awesome, you know?
Yeah. And the show of, like, you know, gaming doesn't necessarily have a language to it. You know, they were able to bond over this thing, and they don't speak the same language, but they became friends over this hobby. And what I need now is we need a lost connection here. We need to bring these two together once again and celebrate. This is like a Lifetime movie or something in the making, where they get these guys
amazing
back together.
Yeah,
so
that'd be beautiful.
Yeah, really like that. So thank you for writing it. That was nice.
Yeah, you really make a good point there, Dustin, about gaming. Because if this was a movie they were watching, they probably wouldn't have engaged with it that much. They were just 2 kids watching a movie, and they probably don't understand whatever's going on, right? But with gaming, it's an activity. It's an experience you share. It's more obviously, you know, gaming is akin to books. It's akin to movies, but it's also akin to sports. You know, you do 2 people in a different language can easily just play a sport together. You can completely understand it. That's the language.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not passive. Yeah, you're right. You make a good point. And why not games, right? We all have those callbacks to evoke specific memories, whether it's like a toy that we grew up with or a toy line. books, movies, TV shows, anything. So why not games? But I like that point of like, it's not a passive thing. Like I remember watching this movie all the time with my best friend when we were 6, because you're doing something together. You know, it sort of merges movies and sports, you know, in games, and that you're actually physically doing something. You're trying to get to the end, or, you know, stay alive, or whatever it is. So that, that's a really evocative story. I really appreciate write-ins like that. We do have to get those two together.
I wish people would stop like looking at games and gaming, those words specifically, as if they're not serious activities to be engaged with, you know?
Right.
Games in general have been a part of human history forever. The concept of play, you know? There's a reason why we call it the Olympic Games, you know?
Well said. I mean, it's really, you know, my son too, he's 13, and I think a lot of it, and even with his mom, who like understands video games to some degree, you know, it's seen as this passive activity and a waste of time, right? In a lot of ways. I'm not saying Helene looks at it that way necessarily, but I think broadly from a societal standpoint, except in South Korea, where there's such huge gaming cafes. But,
yeah, exactly.
You know, like my son will start saying things to me over the last few months. Like, I think I want to do this for a living. Like, I want to develop video games, you know? So that's another thing. It's like, it's not only a form of entertainment, it's really something much deeper. Even if, you know, you just enjoy games and never, you know, you say, I'll never work in this industry. I'm not going to develop or do the art or game design or write these things or manufacture them, you know, in some degree. It's just another outlet for enjoyment and bonding with somebody over
communication.
Sure.
It's a communication.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
It's a communication tool, you know? That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a form of bonding.
And it bridges
you know?
the gap between these two young kids, right? So
yeah, they couldn't speak the same language. You know?
Very cool.
Yeah. So thank you for that write-in. We appreciate it. Nevitz writes in and says, "Hello, Brick Breakers. I was excited to hear last episode that Dagan is excited for Sonic Superstars.
Yes.
I thought Gene would be the only one looking forward to the platformer. Dagan and Gene, what exactly are you excited for about the game?" If you had that sentence on its own, it would sound a little like, what exactly are you? The way I read that also didn't help. But... Oh, okay. Well, here, moving on. Even as a lifelong fan, I am worried that it won't be on par with the Genesis classics. I'm not going into this expecting Sonic Mania 2, but I'm hoping it will still be good. So, Dagan, you mentioned playing this new Sonic game, Sonic Superstars, earlier in the episode. And so, what are you exactly excited about for this game?
You know, I was a big Sega dude in the arcade even prior to the Genesis. Although I missed the Master System, I collect for it now. But starting with the Genesis for home gaming, like I was a huge fan because my best friend, I tended to be more of a Nintendo kid at home, but my best friend was a big Sega kid. So we had a lot of Genesis growing up from like my early teens onward. And 2D Sonic was the shit. And I think a return to 2D Sonic with this guy, I know it's been iterated over the years, but this one looks exciting because I think from first looks, it really will channel the spirit and the energy of early 90s 2D Sonic. And I think with today's technology, you could even take it to the next level. I mean, you want to harness that sort of energy, the quickness, the speed, that sort of really rapid forward momentum that the early Sonic games had. And I think you could do that. And now with these graphical enhancements that look so beautiful, and the camera that could just go wider on stuff, makes the worlds look really big. And I think that could increase the sense of speed and how much you're traversing over a certain amount of time and all that kind of thing. I think everything we loved about early Sonic could be played up with this new stuff if it's done right. And I just think, judging from what I'm seeing so far, it looks like it does capture that. Although I'm already hearing things like there's problems with the boss fights being monotonous and stuff. But I just really kind of want to see for myself. I do have a big part of me that loves this era of Sega that this is kind of seems like it's bringing out. And, you know, especially 16-bit, especially Genesis. And I just think it's fun. And again, just a return to something that I could play casually, that I could just pop and play and just go at incrementally and savor and not have to rush through. And I'm not going to be doing a podcast at the end of it. I think it's, you guys could all relate to that. I mean, it's like one for me. It's like one for you, one for me. This is one for me. I don't have to talk about it later. I don't have a timeline. I could just really kind of enjoy it. And I think like Wonder, which obviously we'll be talking about all these games on Punching Up, but that's a pleasure to kind of relate my experiences with this kind of stuff. So I think it could be even better than those original Sonic games. I think of Sonic specifically in Sonic and Tails. I know Sonic 3 is good too, but that already seemed like it was already kind of evolving. I think if this, I want to return to Sonic, like the first Sonic game. And I want it to feel like that.
So, Gene, I know the most hardcore of hardcore Sonic fan base is excited for this game. As always, they're excited. I heard a rumor they're hoping for the ability for Sonic to throw up in your mouth or something like this. They're really hoping for some of that more extreme stuff. But how are you? Are you? Well, I guess I don't even know if you're maybe playing this right now, or we know you're a Sonic man. Maybe not quite to the degree of the the mouth throwing up thing, but like some of those out there. But
I actually have a review code. I haven't touched it yet.
Okay,
oh, nice.
But I'm excited to try it out. I think I'm just like any other Sonic fan. I'm just excited for any kind of Sonic content, even if it's bad. Because I think what we need to explain to Sonic non-Sonic fans is that like we just like Sonic the Hedgehog as a character. He's cool. You put Sonic on something, we'll be like, that's cool, awesome, because he's a cool character. He looks cool. It's like liking Goku. It's like Goku looks cool. He's strong. So we like him. That's it. Like it doesn't really get much more complicated than we like Sonic. He's such a cool character design. We like seeing him like walk around and run around. So even if Sonic Superstars, I like Sonic Forces. That's how tolerable I am.
Oh,
Sonic the Hedgehog games. And I actually think Sonic Forces is a little bit underrated. Like I think if you go back and play it, and like without, like it's really really fucking funny because they torture Sonic in that one. Like he's not even tortured for like a little bit. He's tortured for like months on end. And then like everyone in the Sonic universe operates as if he's like dead, and then they say Sonic is dead. So
I gotta play that.
I think like if anything, if you really want like some absolute chaos, like, and they beat the hell out of Sonic. It's like really really brutal. It's like I was like, what am I watching here? So but that was like right before like Sonic Frontiers, and that was around the same time as Sonic Mania. So that was like the last vestiges of like really weird Sonic the Hedgehog. So I really am interested to see how this new cute cleaned up version of Sonic Superstars would be.
It looks
slick. I'm excited to play it just because I'm a Sonic fan. That's it.
I think it's kind of a shame that it's coming out a couple of days before Wonder, because I think it'll get overlooked by people that are looking for something similar-ish. Right. But it's definitely got a channel that Sonic attitude, not in a cheesy way, but there's just a vibe with Sonic that was always anti-Mario a little bit. And there's something also that maybe really old people like me will relate to. But if you channel the early 90s and sort of we were in the epicenter at that point of the console wars, right? That Nintendo versus Sega. Sega does what Nintendo don't, that whole specific era in time. Now we're looking so forward to a Sega game on a Nintendo console. It's pretty mind-blowing. If you look at how things evolved over the last few decades, that's like, holy shit. Like, can you imagine how different it is from when I was, in high school? That this is like a whole thing where these two companies are working together. I mean, I remember thinking about that with Smash and some of the amiibos. It's like, this is fucking crazy. Do you guys even know, these younger people even know how crazy this is? These were arch rivals, if not enemies at one point in time. Now it's all, it's kind of all lovey-dovey, but I kind of love it because it makes for good products. Sega has the power to have a platform on Nintendo where they really couldn't do it with hardware. They phased out on the hardware front. So
one thing I will acknowledge is that, oh, sorry.
No, that's all.
Oh, yeah. One thing I'll acknowledge is that I can, and I think I can speak for Colin here, is that I would be frustrated to see so many freaking Sonic video games and then not a single Mega Man video game for how many years, you know? It's like why can Sega use so many resources to put out so many Sonic games, even 2 Sonic games at the same time in 1 year, and we've just stuck with Mega Man 11 for the last several years.
How many years has it been?
Oh my god! And especially since Capcom is doing so well, you know, like Capcom is firing on every single cylinder.
Absolutely.
Like if there's any publisher that's done any has had a pretty much perfect run of games in the last few years, it's been Capcom.
Yeah.
And none of it has been Mega Man.
No, it's so crazy that they couldn't take some resources aside. I know RE4, awesome. Street Fighter is doing great. All the kind of stuff. But like, yeah, Mega Man is also important. I know it's a little, maybe a couple of tiers down besides those other IPs. But they certainly have the
niche,
resources.
but yeah, make Mega Man. Sonic is niche too, you know. So Sonic Frontiers only sold like 3 million, you know, which is great, but you know, Mega Man can sell that too.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, why not? You know,
especially with this build up.
Exactly.
We're all
but
waiting.
Capcom really seems to be chasing that Resident Evil 4, Street Fighter. Well, Resident Evil 4 and Monster Hunter $100. Those are the two franchises that are making the money. So,
Mike, I assume you're like me, where you're hard out on a Sonic title.
I mean, I loved the Sonic like adventure game on GameCube. I was all over that. However, recent Sonic, it's a mess. I mean, well, what was it? Sonic Boom: Rise of Lyric. That game was fundamentally broken. And I saw just so many videos about just all the flaws with that game of like, hey, while you're running, characters disappear, you know, just like all these things that happen. And
Mike is thinking about the Game Grumps run of Sonic Boom, which is absolutely legendary. And
oh my god, and I'll always watch their gameplay of Sonic, and that's how I'll experience it. But I also just don't like new Sonic with his little scarf and everything. Like
I think they retconned that, and the blue arms.
Yeah, because I'm not into that. I was like, get the little scarf out of here. Like that's not my Sonic, all right. But no, this would be something I would maybe check out. But like Dagan said, it's coming out right around the same time as Mario Brothers Wonder. If I'm thinking about what I have time for, I'm gonna focus on Mario for sure. And maybe I would check this out at another date. But I want to see how other people react to it as well.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a good plan. It makes sense. So. Guys, I got one last question to end off this show. It's from Patches, who says, I sometimes read the question, but I don't read the introduction. And it says, sup, Zelda Fister. I did not realize it said that. Okay, in your opinion, what is the most underrated Nintendo game of all time? Me personally, it would have to be Super Mario Land 2 for the Game Boy. It has many elements I wish Mario games would have in today's contemporary titles, such as the option to choose any world you want from the get-go, and the fact that you're not just rescuing Peach and Bowser. You're actually going against Wario. You're collecting 6 golden coins to reclaim Mario's island. Plus, the music is absolutely incredible. I'll hang up and listen now. A nice crossover joke from Sacred. Mario Land 2, I just bought this at the Pittsburgh Retro Gaming Convention, so I have it ready to go for when my analog pocket gets here Wednesday.
Nice.
I don't know if this is the most overrated game or underrated game on Nintendo, but I want to rep a great Nintendo Switch game that came out early in the life cycle that people wrote off, and that's ARMS. ARMS is a fun game.
That was my answer.
Okay, well, dude, let's talk about it together. ARMS is a fun game. People were turned off by the motion controls, but you play it you don't need to, right?
You don't need them.
It was really fun on controller, and I actually thought the motion controls weren't bad for it. Really creative characters that looked really cool. Shout out Min Min, of course, big fan. Micah, so you're with me here on ARMS being underrated, underappreciated.
Oh, so I absolutely loved ARMS when it came out. I was a huge fan, and it was just for the first time in my life, I felt like I actually could play some sort of a fighting game online because I love watching fighting game tournaments. I adore watching the people who are really good at Mortal Kombat, for example. But I'm trash at those games. I will never be good at them. ARMS was the first time that I was like, here is me being able to play some sort of fighting game. Much simpler, of course, but it was a blast. It was really fun. And it was was it last year that the Min Min amiibo came out?
Mhm.
Because this is a funny moment for Colin and I. I got the amiibo in the mail, and he was like, "Oh, what'd you get?" I said, "I got the Min Min amiibo," and he's like, "What the hell is that?" And I was like, "Yeah, Min Min, from Arms." He had no idea who I was talking about, and that was what sold it. I know he didn't play it, but I was like, "Man, this is pretty niche, isn't it?" Because he didn't even know what a Min Min
Did he know
was.
what Arms was?
So he knew what
Okay.
Arms was, but it's not something he ever played, I don't think. I'm sure it wasn't something that would interest him, but it's incredible. It's a really fun game. I enjoyed it. The variety of fighters, on the surface, it looks like everybody plays the same, but once you actually do try out the different characters, there's so much variety to it. Pick a character to match your style. It's a really fun game that I do feel like the popularity dropped off really quickly. It seemed like it wasn't super popular in the first place, and then people just stopped talking about it altogether.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think there was a lot of concerns at the beginning of the Switch that we were getting motion controls, like the holdover, and they're like, "Is this console? Nintendo is pushing this game that is heavy on motion controls right out the gate. What are we getting into? Is this going to be another Wii?" And I think it turned a lot of people off. I get it. No one. I mean, I'm a little more mixed on motion controls as far as thinking that they can be good than most people. A lot of people hard out completely, but Arms is good. So I'm glad we have that established, Micah. You and I. Arms, check it out. I think it's a fun, fantastic game. Gene, let's go to you first. Underrated Nintendo game.
Arms is a great one. I also am totally here for the Arms support.
Good.
All your points about motion control is actually pretty salient. I didn't even think about that and say, oh yeah, I do think that it fell victim to like people thinking that, oh, this is just a motion control game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, people don't know. You can actually just play it on the Pro Controller, and it kind of works better that way, honestly,
Yeah.
I guess my underrated game would be Astral Chain by Platinum Games,
Oh,
but published by Nintendo. I think a lot of people overlook that one. I think people don't realize that it's actually a really great action JRPG. And I mentioned this before, but if you like Final Fantasy 16 and the way that game played, I think you will really love Astral Chain. Similar structure in terms of like fighting and then talking and then fighting and then talking. But it's really, really great, really, really great builds. And it's probably Platinum's most innovative game in years because it actually allows you to play basically as two characters at once. And the way that it's able to balance that control system by having one basically police officer either having a baton or a sword or a gun and using that to juggle the monster robot partner that you have. And you can and Dustin, you can paint these monster robots in Ava colors for sure. Of course, just
Gene,
answering your question that you already had. I know.
I didn't have the question because I already fucking did it when I played this game. I never finished it. Unfortunately, that's what game that got lost, but I remember enjoying it and I absolutely did that. So we're on the exact same wavelength.
Like my robot dog is in Ava colors. It's so stupid. It's so cringe and edgy, but whatever. But like it's great. Like the control system is super, super innovative. It takes a long time to wrap your head around it. Like it's not a game that I can just pick up and replay. Like, oh, I just feel like playing Astral Chain again. No, I have to like start all over again and train. So it's definitely a game that takes time to get to understand, especially confusing because then you are controlling two different characters at the same time. Spider-Man 2 will only let you play as one Spider-Man, and then you just watch the other Spider-Man fight. So imagine a game where you're basically playing as both Spider-Men, That's what Astral Chain is doing. Very, very innovative, very, very overlooked. And I really hope that Platinum, well, Hideki Kamiya is gone. So, but he wasn't responsible for that game. So they still got good talent in Platinum. I really hope that they're able to do stuff without having to worry about money. It's really too bad though. The issue with Platinum is that Platinum got kicked out of Capcom because they were basically saying, "Hey, fuck you! We're gonna make the games we want, and none of them will make money." Hoo. And then they left and made a company, and then they continued to make games that made no money. So it's like,
yeah,
it's tough. It's tough. I don't know. I wish the best for them, but that doesn't change the fact that Astral Chain is a great game, really overlooked, and I hope more people will check it out.
Yeah, shout out. I want to get back to that game at some point. I wish it was in 60 FPS. That was the one thing when I played it that I was like, man, this game's fun. I can do it in 30, but it would be so much better.
Yeah,
Switch, Super Switch, make it happen. You know,
it's also got some issues, like some of the puzzle areas like are kind of a pain, you know, and there's some platforming that really, really sucks. So it's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's very, very innovative. And if you like character action games like Devil May Cry or Final Fantasy 16, and you want to see a really unique twist on it, that is the most unique twist on it I've seen.
Well, you know, it's been out quite a few years now, so you can go pick it up for full price of $59.99 on the Nintendo eShop.
Yeah, because it's also one of those rare games that you can't really find physically on Switch too. So
yeah. So enjoy that nice Nintendo price point there. Last but certainly not least, Dagan. I'm expecting some kind of rare NES gem from you. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what would you say as far as either just a most overrated game or the most? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, these are all good answers. I love this. I definitely want to check out Astral Chain. I love, honestly, where this conversation started with the Super Mario Land franchise, and specifically 2. I mean, that was a really kind of a special era, because I think back, that was, I think, Nintendo R&D 1. So that was their A team. And they were able, that was a kind of a cool period of time, because I feel like they could harness the Mario franchise, sort of honor the legacy, but also be kind of inventive with it and innovative and just be a little weird with it. And those 3 Game Boy games are strange. And I think there's a version for the Virtual Boy as well. But they're really cool in that they are Mario games at their center, but they do a lot of different things with it, right? Mario Land 1 gave us Daisy, right? And then Mario and driving vehicles, like just little things that were like, doesn't feel like a mainline Mario game, but it is. They were just having fun with it, you know? So I think 6 Golden Coins is super cool, because it feels kind of like the first Game Boy game that was iterative of the 16-bit era. Like, it feels a lot like Super Mario World, which is pretty innovative for that time. But my thing, when you sent this, Dust, the first thing I thought of, I'm not specifically sure that it's down to a game, but as far as a franchise and just being an old man, Kid Icarus, you know, like it seems like a squandered franchise. A lot of us know that have been around a while, but we have NES, you know, the original NES version. We have of Myths and Monsters for the Game Boy just shortly thereafter. And then after like 20 years or something, we got Uprising for 3DS in 2011, 2012. And that's all we ever really got. Now you have Pit and Palutena and Smash and all of that. But you know what strikes me about it? Just the whole energy of the game. Pit specifically as a character, but the whole Greek mythology world, like that universe, is so different than any other Nintendo IP. And you could have so much fun with a cartoony version of that. It almost seems like an evergreen styled game. I think at worst, there should have been some sort of Kid Icarus game, you would think, for every console. Just one. You know what I mean? One for the GameCube, one for the... And I know that supposedly a lot of these titles were in development at certain points along the way and got yanked, right? Like the N64 version and all that. But that would be sort of on my wish list, is let's try a Kid Icarus outing with every console. Just one. It doesn't have to be even as something as, you know, as high up on the tier as a Metroid. You know, and we already have the Greek mythology things and things like God of War, which are more severe and more serious, but like a cartoony Greek mythology thing as a Nintendo IP, that sounds amazing. And they don't really have anything like that. I mean, I guess Zelda in a way ties in the fantasy stuff, but you could make it so different if it feels like the first Kid Icarus. It's silly, you know, it's bows and arrows and Medusa and Greek gods, but it's also eggplant wizards and shit. Like, you could just go bonkers with it. And I love that.
I wish you played. You haven't played Kid Icarus on 3DS, have you?
I have never. No.
I wish you did, because it is I wish you didn't, and I wish you don't, because it's a fantastic game. So brilliant. It's made by Masaru Sakurai, the creator of Smash and Kirby, right? Mm-hmm. Extremely innovative, extremely fun. The characters and everything they do with the mythology, so charming. New characters, everything. The fact that, you know, Pit is like granted by Palutena his wings and everything, right? It's amazing. literally the only issue is that it was on the 3DS and the controls will destroy your hands.
That's a shame.
Because you have to use the thing,
Yeah.
the little what's it called, the little pen,
The stylus.
Yeah.
pen.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3DS itself is already hard to hold, and controls are crazy.
Yeah, that
so
thing
you
was
just
a
go
mess.
like this, and it's like, but like your hands are just like, this is such a good
Yeah.
game, but oh my
20
god.
years for that.
I actually tried that game, first time ever playing a Kid Icarus game,
Mhm.
and I just couldn't get past the
Mhm.
controls. I was just like, this is just weird. I was interested in it, but I wasn't super invested because I wasn't familiar with the franchise.
Mhm.
And then I was just like, well, these weird controls are just ruining it.
It's-
And I was a rental on GameFly. I
I
sent
don't
it back,
blame
I think,
you
the
for
next
doing
day.
that.
That's
for
a
checking it out,
shame.
because like I could barely finish it. I had to power my way through, and it's only because I was so devoted to finishing it. But it's tough, and that's why everyone is asking for like I wish that they would just make another one, but with like regular controls,
Traditional.
because like, oh my god, the game was incredible.
Yeah.
The gameplay is incredible. I just can't control it that way.
Yeah,
you know?
that's it's bookended with negatives, that franchise, because you have that on the one end, and then if you look at the earliest outing, it's notoriously difficult, which I
Mhm,
didn't really find it that difficult. Like Battletoads on NES was difficult. Kid Icarus, you could get through, you could acclimate yourself and sort of get into the rhythm with it. But and then the Game Boy game was fun, as I remember. But yeah, you have a lot of negative connotations with the series. And I think that's a shame, because I think there's something there that you could really have a good time with. I mean, maybe even, I don't know. I love the platforming aspect of it, but it might even be a cool way for Nintendo to do a JRPG, themselves. And I don't know if they'll ever go there. I know the closest we ever really get from them is Zelda, which is not an RPG.
No, Xenoblade Chronicles is published by Nintendo.
That's true.
So imagine, oh man, dude, imagine Monolith Soft making a Kid Icarus.
That
like,
would
epic.
be cool as shit.
Whoa.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
It'll probably never happen, but
Gotta believe. Gotta dream.
Bringing it full circle with the shirt.
Full circle.
with the shirt. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Well, that wraps it up, guys, for this episode of Punching Up a Nintendo podcast here on Last Stand Media. You guys heard my pitch about Patreon earlier, but remember, it's patreon.com/laststandmedia. If you would like to join us there and get early access and listen on Tuesdays instead of Fridays, we'd love to have you. But let's go ahead and sign off and say goodbye, starting with you, Dagan. Dagan, goodbye. Any final thoughts?
No, just everybody have a lovely week. Thank you. This was fun. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. Thank you to the Fantastic Four, or the Fantastic Three. I won't call myself Fantastic.
Oh, you can't.
All
Roll
right.
out.
Thank you to the Fantastic Four, including myself. And yeah, this was fun. And I'll see you guys again. Well, next time I see you all will be in person, which is something we rarely get to say on this show. So very exciting.
We got to get a punching up photo.
Oh,
because there's photos of the Dukes, there's photos of Sacred, but I'm imagining us all in like suits and dude, Micah in the wedding dress. It's gonna be perfect. I love it.
That'll be hilarious.
I love it.
Yeah, Mike is just marrying all of us.
It's time.
People are like, what the fuck's going on here? Micah, final thoughts and goodbye.
No, this was a very fun episode. If we're doing a Fantastic Four thing, I get to be the thing.
Okay.
All right. He's my favorite. So I call that. But yeah, this is last episode before the wedding. Very exciting times around here. Thrilled that I'm going to get to finally meet Gene in person. And of course, just see the rest of the gang. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing you cats in person. We're going to have a great time.
Heck yeah. Gene, final thoughts and goodbye.
Same here. Looking forward to seeing you all. Good to be back. Good to, hoping to stay in good health. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, so much for listening. We'll be back not next week, but the week after. And we appreciate you guys. So we'll see you later. Goodbye. Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is a product of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand, LLC, and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is written and produced by me, Dustin Furman. My co-hosts are Gene Park, Dagan Moriarty, and Micah Watson. The show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. Punching Up, along with the rest of Last Stand Media shows, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your kind contributions and generosity to our independent endeavor. Thank you.